I'm so excited, I just can't hide it. Lance Lynn, are you effing kidding me?
Let's get nasty on a Monday. What a way to start off the show with Janet. Dan, you didn't have your headphones on.
I heard it.
Did you hear it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I
don't miss
to make
anything
sure
that she says.
Because Dan McLaughlin, my co-host for the next 4 hours, he loves himself some Janet. So I want to make sure you heard what Janet said.
I wouldn't miss it. I just told you I would never miss anything with Janet. Ever.
Do you think she said unbelievable because she's excited about Lance Lynn signing a one-year deal with the Cardinals?
I thought initially there was genuine excitement, but then I thought there's not genuine excitement. Mm-hmm. She was being facetious.
There is genuine hate or frustration, maybe.
She doesn't like it. She doesn't like the signing of Lance Lynn. I'm not sure there are many out there that are overly excited at this point, and I'll take the approach still of wait and see. This has only got to be one small piece to the puzzle that they need to figure out before opening day of 2024.
Yeah. We knew there was going to be a one-year deal. We didn't know if it was going to be, I was hoping a Luis Severino or maybe a Kenta Maeda. But
we still might get that, though.
Yeah, you might. But we knew that there was going to be a one-year deal mixed into this offseason. It had that feel to it. To your point, Dan, I think we need to pump the brakes just a little bit here because I'm sensing a lot of frustration for Cardinals fans. But we talked about it last week. This is the Blues signing David Perron. Everybody freaking out, or Bozak. I think it was Bozak, then Perron. Everybody freaking out that was the offseason, and then the Ryan O'Reilly deal came. In defense of you, I don't think you're going to get a Ryan O'Reilly type deal.
You don't think so?
No. In defense of Cardinals fans, I don't blame you for being ticked off for knowing that there's probably not going to be a Ryan O'Reilly deal. However, I do think we need to pump the brakes just a little bit to see what else they do.
Last year, Lynn was, there's no other way to put it. He was awful. Gave up a ton of home runs. I think it was 3 per 9. Gave up over 50 for the year.
But?
Well, here's where I'm coming from. I would think that they only did this. A couple reasons is that he's cost-controlled in terms of a pitcher that is not going to cost you a ton of money. So he was at $10 or $11 million. My guess is that they saw something in his delivery that they can fix. Because normally he's not giving up that many home runs. He'll give up his fair share, but not like that. And so there was a slight dip in velocity, but I was just doing and looking at some of the different things that you can look at analytically. There was a pretty big discrepancy in the dip in his fastball. He's a guy that throws a fastball sinker a ton of about 2 to 3 inches from last year to the year before. And so if there's something that technically that Dusty Blake, who is really good at this kind of stuff, that he can see and detect, and they get him back to where he was, then all of a sudden you probably have a steal. Let's put this thing in perspective. If you go back the last 5 years, his ERA is 3.71. He would have led the Cardinals in games started, strikeouts, and innings. The concern, though, the home runs that he's given up. Fangraphs projects him to give the Cardinals 176 innings next year. That would have been second on your team by a long shot. The next closest was Jack Flaherty at 109, and Michaelis was barely above 200. So you're going to need some guys to give you innings. They need that. This is somebody that'll give you innings. May not be pretty, and that's why I think it's just a piece to the puzzle. Maybe not a great piece, but it's going to help you in little areas, and maybe you catch lightning in a bottle with something that you can technically fix in his delivery. You know,
Dan, and Marsh, I'm interested in your thoughts as a Cardinals fan that is very emotional at times, so I'm interested in your thoughts, because sometimes I feel like, Marsh, you are the voice of the fan. We're going to talk about the college football playoff scenarios at some point today. I've said this now for the last couple of years, and I always need to be reminded right after the initial rankings are released. But the committee has told us what they're looking for each and every year. They look for resume.
Are we still talking about Lance Lynn?
I'll land the plane.
Okay.
I'll get there. I'm just taking off now.
Sometimes on the runway, of course.
Sometimes I take a while. But they tell us. They tell us what they're looking for. They're looking for teams with top 25 wins resume. Mo told us what he was going after 2 weeks ago. We like to bitch and complain about, hey, he doesn't tell us anything. No, he does. We just got to listen and then sift through some of the comments.
Yeah.
Dan, you said something about Lance Lynn. I think you said it a couple of times.
I did.
Innings.
Yep.
Mo said innings 2 weeks ago. So we need innings. We need innings. This is it. This is his innings. He still needs an ace. He still needs somebody at the top of the rotation. He still needs to make at least 2 more signings and or a trade.
Yeah.
He needs 2 more starters at least.
That's what I'm saying.
But this is a start.
Probably pump the brakes a little bit, but this is a start. Mm-hmm. So this is, if you would have signed Lance Lynn after getting a 1 and 2, people would have said, I think their mindset would be, okay.
Yes.
You needed a guy with innings. You got a guy with innings. Maybe
Order matters.
Yeah. And this, to me, is a guy that would be your 4, maybe 5 on a really good team. And that's what they need to do, is to figure out what they're going to do with 1 and 2. So it's just the beginning of this. I guess I would be concerned about his ground ball percentage, and it has dipped significantly last year. It went from 42% to 35%, lowest of his career. Now, 2 reasons for that. The tilt that I talked about in his fastball, so maybe you're not getting, it's really level, it's straight, it's not getting the downward plane that you want. And then the other thing that would concern me about signing him is the lack of the shift. When you're talking about a guy that does get his fair share of strikeouts, but when the ball's put in play, many times it's on the ground outside of the time it goes over the fence, but which was a lot last year. But the shift would concern me a little bit with anybody that is reliant on ground balls, and he's one of those guys that you think about in that regard.
Marshy, how you feeling these days?
I'm just really indifferent about it. I think from a fan perspective, you see Nola re-sign with the Phillies, and then the next day you get Lance Lynn. Not a real warm and fuzzy feeling if you're a Cardinals fan. One, I love it for the clubhouse. I think he's going to bring some grit. And
Rusty nail.
Exactly.
Yeah, they do need that.
I would agree with that for sure.
I do like that. I'm wondering if they're working backwards, seeing what they have available in terms of the money to see if they can go get Yamamoto. Maybe they throw something out there for Blake Snell. I don't think so, but man, I'm really hoping they land one of these aces. And I'm really wondering if they think Miles Mikolas is their number 2.
No, they're not.
They're not?
No.
Okay.
I think we all can agree he can't be your number 2 if you're looking at I haven't heard that from him. I'm just going to speak for him. He can't be your number 2. He can't be.
I agree with you.
Unless he gets back to where he was throwing, his all-star campaigns, and you haven't seen that for a couple of years. So if you're going to be a championship club or a club that has a chance to contend, Miles Mikolas, unless he goes back to being the pitcher that he was, cannot be your number 2.
Part of me when you said that was like, is he about to say he can't be number 2 because they view him as the number 1?
Oh, no.
Slow down now.
Terrible.
But does that mean then that they're going to get an ace and a number 2? Because I do not see that happening.
They need that.
Well, I know, of course they need it.
I don't know about you. I had no problem with them not getting Nola. Because the back
I didn't have a problem either.
The back end of that is going to be nasty. Now, if you would have given me Aaron Nola for the first 3.5 to 4 of that deal, count me in. But that's not how it works. I got to pay for the back end of it too, and that back end may be ugly. Maybe. And I would imagine that if you look at the trend of where pitchers go, it's not pretty.
No.
Paying that kind of money. Now, could I live with it if I was paying him $10 million on a really good team, very good team, and he's my 4 or 5? Yeah, I could live with that, but the first 3 or 4 years is what I want. However, to get that, I got to give 7 or 8, and that back end could be ugly.
So what's the next move? Is it going to get a number 2, or is it going to be we need to get that ace now, and then we'll figure it out from there?
Well, Marsh, I think you bring up an interesting point. Maybe they're looking to fill first. They're looking for the layups first. They're saying we'll bring in a Lance Lynn. The next signing might be somebody that they view as a number 4 to the rotation, or a number 3. Somebody like, I don't know, you can look at the free agent list and kind of gather it. I texted you guys right away. Here comes Michael Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see a Walker. I could see I don't know, like a Kyle Gibson or a I don't know, but what other free agents are out there that are in that like tier 3 range? and then maybe ramping up and going,
Sonny Gray.
Going to get a Sonny Gray.
I just feel like reading the tea leaves, Sonny Gray is where they want to go.
Yeah.
It just seems like he's the guy that they're looking at more so than Nola. I think probably they feel they'll kick the tires on Yamamoto just to see what the market is bearing out there, which then will set the market for other pitchers, and then you can try to strike early.
Yeah.
But it just seems to me it has Sonny Gray written all over it.
And by the way, if it's Sonny Gray, Walker / Gibson, Lance Lynn, Michaelis, and Steven Matz, you have improved, but that's
not a World Series rotation.
Not even close.
No.
Not even close. So then we can let it rip. Right now, it's just Lance Lynn.
But what other pitcher other than Yamamoto or Blake Snell
That's it.
can be your ace?
That's it.
And makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside heading into spring training.
Be your ace, Sonny Gray. Be a ace, and somebody that's going to make you feel good about it, it's Yamamoto.
Now, we're just talking about money that you're going to spend at this point. They have chips and assets to trade, and that's where this could get a lot of fun, at least for me. I love the hot stove. I think it's fun. Cardinals are in a position that they haven't been in a long time where they've got to redo a lot of things. And I look at them trading guys.
Yeah.
And now, if I'm in Mo's seat, even though I can't think like this, I can't. I'm paid to make tough decisions. But, man, I would be gun-shy on certain guys. I just would be gun-shy. I'll give you a great example. Let's say you traded Dylan Carlson. I don't know if it's going to work for Dylan Carlson in St. Louis. I just don't have a great feeling about it one way or another. But I bet if he goes to a lesser team, plays every day, he's going to put up some numbers.
I could see him.
Why it wouldn't work here, I don't know.
I could see him having a Randall Grichuk type career.
Absolutely.
If he stays healthy.
He's got to stay healthy. Wrist, ankle, all that stuff. But go to a less pressurized situation. Remember, he was such a highly thought of prospect in the playoffs of 2020. He's batting cleanup. There was a lot that was put on to him initially. And then this last couple of years, he's been battling injuries, trying to find playing time. I don't know. I mean, I look at if you're a championship team, in my mind, he's probably a number 4.
Yeah.
But I think if you go to a really down team or a team with not a lot of expectations, he's playing every day. I could see him putting up numbers.
And some guys just need to flat out play every day.
Yeah.
He's got to stay healthy. That's on him.
Yes.
But some guys just need to play every day and know they're going to be in the lineup.
I know there's going to be a ton of people that bring up Trevor Bauer, and I get it. I don't know enough about his situation. I mean, I know some of it that I've read about, but I don't know how much gray area is still out there.
Yeah.
If the slate was clean, would you want to go get him? 100%. But it's not. So I don't know if that's even feasible. I don't even know if that's on the table. So it's a lot of options out there that they got to think about here moving forward.
And that's not a Cardinals move. It just simply is. And the Cardinals, we expect something different from this team each and every offseason, yet they keep doing the exact same thing. They're very consistent with how they go about business. I just don't see Trevor Bauer being a fit here in terms of what they're looking for on and off the field.
We should mention, too, the Cardinals added Daniel Descalso, so bringing the band back as a coach on the team. Awesome. You're fired up, and we talked about that for a good hour.
Yeah.
Daniel Descalso returning as a coach.
Good guy.
So Michael Walker is pretty much a lock now.
Yes, that's
we're
correct.
bringing the whole band back together.
Joe Kelly.
Oh, that'd be nice. I'd actually be kind of excited.
I would like that. Yeah,
Kelly.
Real quick, maybe we can get into this later. Would you be okay if they, didn't get an ace, but they really revamped the bullpen with some of that money?
They need an ace, and they need to revamp the bullpen.
The bullpen was 24th in ERA, 29th in strikeout rate, 56% save percentage. ERA over 10 in high leverage situations. So do you think they need to do something with the bullpen? I would say yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get into Mizzou and their big win in about 15 minutes. So bottom of the hour, we're going to talk about Mizzou and what a blick. That was that
awesome.
Victory was awesome. Incredible. We'll get into that at 2:30. We'll break that down. But let's get into some Blues hockey. They win last night 3-1 over the Ducks. We'll talk a little Blues hockey next on 101 ESPN.
final 5 seconds. Tick off the clock, and that'll do it. You can bring out the Zamboni. The St. Louis Blues beat the Anaheim Ducks by a score of 3-1 tonight. They leapfrog a couple of teams in the standings, and they'll look to go to even 500 on this road trip on Wednesday night in Arizona.
Chris Kerber on the call for the Blues Radio Network right here on 101 ESPN. As you heard him, the Blues knock off the Ducks 3-1 last night. They had suffered a pair of 5-1 losses before that. The Sharks got them, the Kings got them. So a couple of ugly losses mixed in, but they did rebound and they knocked off Anaheim. So, Marsh, you had thrown out the question of whether or not the Blues have the makeup, the feel of a playoff team. I am, for right now, at 9-7-1, I am not going to move off of my preseason expectation that they simply make the playoffs. I understand that that isn't something that you want to have as an expectation for a franchise, a proud franchise that won in 2019. I understand that just making the playoffs doesn't typically fit the Blues. But let's be realistic here. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They had to overturn a large portion of their roster. They have guys that are under contract for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Making the playoffs right now, I think, is a pretty good goal, and then you see what happens. It also, guys, offers that I'm not delusional in thinking that they're more than that, because I don't think they are. I think they're a solid team with a lot of good veterans, and when you get a game like the Lightning at 5-0 or the Avalanche at 8-2, you see what they're capable of, Dan. You say, okay, all right, they're going to be a pain in the ass to somebody if they do make the playoffs. But, of course, you mix in 5-1 losses to the Sharks and Kings, and you also realize or are reminded that this team is incomplete in certain areas, too.
Yeah, I looked at the 2 losses over the weekend, and I don't know if you agree with this, Marshy, but it was like 2 to 4 minute spurts in which they just didn't play well. And all of a sudden you look up, boom, there's 2 goals. And then they played okay. And that's not the sign of a consistent team. I just see a lot of inconsistency at this point.
That's fair.
And usually when you get about 20 games in my opinion, that's when you know what kind of team that you have. And so where are you at right now? You're 9-7-1. You're 3 games away from that 20-game mark. And at that point, I think you make a better evaluation of where you're at. I just see inconsistency at this point. They did score a power play goal. I guess it was yesterday. That's a positive. I wish they were better on special teams in that regard. But this is the kind of team that has just been a little too inconsistent for my blood. And maybe that's what we should get used to for the rest of the season.
I think you hit it right on the head, Dan. I mean, this team, I'll use a Minnesota Vikings terminology here. It's like running the ball 3 or 4 times with Chandler and then giving it to Madison and then fumbling the ball on a good drive right at the 30-yard line of the Broncos. That's what it reminds me of. They had so much momentum after the wins against the Avalanche and the Lightning, all to just throw it away.
Yeah.
And now they're getting back in the groove of things with a win over the Ducks, but it is tough. I mean, Dan, you mentioned it. There's just a few plays a game that they screw up, and then they play well the rest of the game. But at that point, the game's over. And right now, I'm kind of tired of hearing about, they played good, for two of the 3 periods. That's not good enough. You're losing 5-1.
And I'm not sure they've got the firepower to come back and score at will.
Yes.
You can give up a couple of goals and feel like you're still in it. I feel like when I'm watching, if they give up 2 quick goals, bang, bang, I think they're going to settle down? For the most part, I do. Sometimes you see a blowout, but I also feel like, man, this is a big mountain to climb with this team, just because I think at times they're offensively challenged, and that's been the case this year.
Yeah, certainly.
They've been so good at protecting leads this year. The problem is getting that first goal.
Yes, right.
Maybe someone in this room can go in the locker room and tell them how important that first goal is. I'm looking at you, Anthony.
Well, I did tell Kyle Hebert after I discovered a nugget, Dan, that the St. Louis City SC team club were unbeaten if they scored first. So we had Kyle Hebert on. I level with him.
Yeah, sometimes you have to level with pro athletes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to get in their face, and if they don't listen to you, you just pawn him off to Anthony and say, look, if you're not going to listen to me, go to Anthony because he is going to set you straight.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
Anthony
gonna be
keeps
blunt
people
about it, too.
Yeah.
Anthony keeps people accountable too.
No doubt he does.
Which the listeners try and keep us accountable. They want to keep you accountable. But I mean, you're pretty good at keeping people accountable.
Marsh, you think about what we've gone through to prepare for a show with Anthony.
Yeah.
It's tough.
You know, I overheard something over the weekend. Jerry Kill, who is doing a fantastic job, used to be the Northern Illinois football coach.
Southern Illinois. He was at, you're talking about Jerry Kill that went from Southern Illinois, then he went to Minnesota.
Northern Illinois, and then to Minnesota.
Okay.
And now I'm questioning myself because it's you, Dan. It's Southern?
He was a Saluki.
I thought he was a Husky.
And he dealt with seizures, and that's what got him off the sidelines for a while.
Yes.
He's a hell of a coach.
He's
unbelievable.
Everywhere he's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, the seizures wound up being a huge issue at Minnesota. He has to step away. But now he's at New Mexico State, and he's doing a great job.
How about that win? How about that win?
But I bring up Jerry Kill to say this. Apparently, he yells at his players throughout the entire practice, and they love him. They love him for it because they know they're going to be better off with Jerry. So that's how I treat you guys. I just yell at you guys because you know you're going to be better.
You've made me better. I know that.
Are you ready to know where he actually coached?
Yes.
Drum roll, please. Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois.
Yeah, he was a
I could have
Saluki.
sworn he was at Northern Illinois.
He is very
My apologies,
close
Dan.
with Mario Mocha. And Mario Mocha was an assistant AD at Mizzou, then got the head job at Southern Illinois. He was the AD there. Jerry Kill was there. And I think that Mario is now with the team that he currently is coaching at New Mexico State.
He went to both. He coached both.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, 2001-07, he was with Southern. 08 to 10, he was Northern.
There you go.
High five, Dan. We were both right.
There you
Bam.
go.
Boom. Yeah.
Bam.
He was a Husky from 08 to 10, then went to Minnesota, then was the OC QB coach for Rutgers, bounced around a little bit, Virginia Tech, TCU, now at New Mexico State and doing a great job.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes, that's why I scream in your guys' faces before the show. I know that you're going to appreciate it, and you're going to know that we're going to be better off for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very
Thanks for
welcome.
keeping me straight. Really, you kept me straight on that one.
Yes. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Dan McLaughlin filling in for Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh here as well. And we need to talk about Mizzou. I want to talk about Mizzou. What a victory on Saturday night in Columbia. We'll get into what happened, the breakdown of it, the reaction to it all next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals agreed to a one-year contract with Lance Lynn, $10 million with up to $3 million in performance bonuses, according to Jeff Passan. We'll talk more about Lance Lynn throughout the remainder of the show. So if you miss anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com. Check out the free 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Over the weekend, the Blues split with the Kings and the Ducks. They lost to the Kings 5-1 and then defeated the Ducks last night 3-1. Tonight we have Monday Night Football. Kansas City taking on Philly. Pregame starts at 6:30. All the coverage right here on 101 ESPN. Let's talk about Mizzou football as they defeated Florida this weekend. We'll get into that next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
What a wild ride Mizzou put fans on Saturday night. Faurot Field.
Phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. They welcomed in Florida, and credit Florida. They played hard. They had nothing to play for. Graham Mertz, he gets injured. He breaks a collarbone or whatever he did. Get the backup quarterback in there. And they played tough. I mean, they scored 24 points on Mizzou in the second half. But the finish of that game, Dan, I don't know when you were watching what was going through your mind, because I know you root for Mizzou.
I thought it was over.
I did too.
I'll be honest. I'm a Mizzou fan, and I've been through too much of it before. I thought it was over.
That's kind of my point. I hate to say that because
me too.
I have said throughout the season, my expectations were low coming in. It's kind of one of those, let's just see if they can prove it type deals. And even when they beat K-State, I'm like, okay, all right, you had the long kick and all that. Well, we'll see. But that LSU loss, I go, okay, you're going to be competitive. Then they hang with Georgia. Mad respect for them. And then they don't, every other step, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, they just kept passing those tests where they have slipped up before.
The one for me was coming back against Kentucky on the road.
Yes.
When they did that, they were down 14-0. I thought, okay. And then they soundly beat them in just about every aspect of the game. And when they did that, I thought, all right, this is something to work with. And like you said, the K-State game, something to work with. Took care of business at that point against Memphis. And now I expect them to go out and win. Like against Arkansas coming up, I have no reservations that they should go out there and win that game.
Yeah.
I was thinking today, like, how did they do this? What am I missing with this team as to why I should feel the way I do? And I went back and looked at some numbers, and their offensive numbers, they lead the nation in red zone scoring. Last year, they ranked 90th in college football. They're 20th in yards per play, up from 87. So, I mean, you're talking about going from 20th, or they're 20th in yards per play, up from 87. I mean, that's a lot. I think the credit goes to Eli Drankowitz for giving up play calling, rival of their offensive coordinator, Kirby Moore from Fresno State.
He's done a remarkable job.
He's been great. I look at the line play. Brandon Jones came in from Houston, and it's a better offensive line. I mean, look at what Cody Schrader's done. I think that's something you have to look at. The passing game is something, too, and they've gotten vertical. They put in Luther Burden inside, kind of a lot of the slot positions and things like that to get him the ball quicker. That's made a difference.
Yep.
And recruiting. I mean, look at what they're starting to do in recruiting. Just this weekend alone, they flipped a kid from the Ozarks, one of the top offensive linemen in the state, that was going to Colorado, and now he's coming to Mizzou.
Great.
I mean, so you're doing a lot of the little things to get better, and now I anticipate them being a team that should win 10 games and maybe 11.
You know, Dan, you bring up a great point in that they have the right people. They have lined up the right people. Not just the players, but they've lined up the right coaching. Eli Drinkwitz realizes that he needs to give up the play calling duties. I did not like what Kirby Moore was doing in the first couple of weeks, and maybe it was just simply, I'm not in the room. He knows his offenses. He knows what Brady Cook is capable of. Maybe Cook was still dealing with the shoulder. They weren't ready to turn it loose, and I complained about it. They're throwing the ball sideways consistently. I called it a high school offense.
We talked about that earlier.
Yes.
You had to stretch the field.
Yes. So I wasn't as, disgusted by it, but I was saying on air, you're not going to beat SEC teams that way.
Nope.
But credit to Moore, credit to Cook, credit to everybody in that building. They expanded the offense, knew they had to throw vertically, and they started doing it. But when you have – I thought that on the Theo Weiss Jr. play – I thought that was Burden the way he was running.
It was incredible. And that's another addition we should talk about.
Holy smokes. But great play design, the final drive to set up the field goal. I was talking to BK on the play where the huge one of Burden, the way that they stacked up Weiss and got him in front of the safety. Safety now is occupied. He's got to keep an eye on Weiss. A little bit of time there. Window open for Cook. Nails it. Burden makes the catch.
Burden finds a soft spot in that.
This is all coaching. And then when you see after the winning field goal was made, the way that Cook and Schrader embraced and the way they're all playing for each other. And I know that gets a little lame, that gets a little hokey, and of course they won. But you felt this coming now. These players are playing for each other. And that's coaching as well.
The other thing, too, Brady Cook is truly a dual threat. Yeah. I mean, he's a dual threat, and instead of being a guy that just dumps the ball and, like we said, going to the flat or little 5-8 gains, you're seeing him stretch the field. I don't know if he makes that play at the end of the game, at the end of last season with that type of throw. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure he does. I don't know if he was, physically hampered so much that he can't put the zing on that throw that he had to make, that he made to Burden on Saturday night. Here's the other thing, Anthony, that I noticed is that the Tigers are constantly shifting on offense. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
And the defense is always moving, trying to figure out positioning, who's got who, and I think that's made a big factor with this team too. And in doing so, then you'll get the one-on-ones, in particular with Burden. Yeah. You mentioned the other kid that's getting one-on-one coverage, but then you had Cody Schrader as a threat. You got Brady Cook as a threat. The team is legitimately very, very good and deserves the ranking to be top 10 right now in the country. It's hard to believe. If you advance this to a year from now, they're in the college football playoff.
Yes.
I mean, that's hard to believe.
But they're doing it, and it's real.
And the expectations going into this season were, the national media, and I understand why.
Too. I'll take the brunt. I did not love Mizzou coming into this year.
Me neither. And how could you? Not vertical. Didn't know about Cook. Cook's under pressure just to keep his job, at least from the media and fan base.
Yes.
I remember we were doing a show, I guess, probably 7-8 weeks ago, and we thought Brady Cook was getting booed.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
And now he is like the guy.
Yep.
Like, Brady Cook, he's going to make a play for us. He's going to do something special. Mm-hmm. Well, Saturday night he did.
Yes, he did. It was fantastic. Hey, we'll end on this. Moose on drinking. Moose on drink, recruiting kids within the state. He might be drinking too. Who knows? We'll find out.
Fellas, big win for those Missouri Tigers. There's some buzz around Drinkwitz in the program. Tigers on top. Tigers going to New Year's Six Bowl. When will the rest of the SEC fan bases take notice of what Elia is building just about an hour and a half west down 70 in beautiful, succulent, tropical Columbia, Missouri, the oasis of the Show Me State. And they're showing us exactly what they can do and what they're capable of when we invest and put effort towards recruiting kids in state. What else is there to say? Go Tigers.
I got to think that they still have a shot at Wingo. Until the ink is on that dotted line.
Yeah.
Now, you're talking about Texas. Okay,
yes.
I get it. It's Texas. But after what you've seen with the hometown team, so to speak, in Mizzou. In-state chance to go play in-state with a university that is putting up numbers, man. I mean, they're top 10 in the country. It's got to cross your mind. It's got to, don't you think? It's human nature. He's an 18-year-old kid.
I hope so. That'd be nice. But if you're to the point now, or you're getting to the point where it's if he doesn't want to play here, okay.
Yeah.
Go find somebody else.
Absolutely.
Because Drink has done a great job of recruiting thus far. And he's found Schrader's right kid for the program.
Yeah.
What a story.
Thoughts on this? This is from Thanks Dad. The Mizzou thing to do at this point would be to finish this season top 10, the year before the playoff expands, then not make it back to the top 12 for 12 years.
Thanks, Dad. Be a little bit more positive, will you?
I didn't think he was going there. I thought he was going to say the Mizzou thing would be to lose to Arkansas.
That's what I thought for sure.
It's not happening. Arkansas is bad this year.
Hey, they played a tough game against Alabama at Alabama.
Yeah, that was one game. I think Alabama was asleep the entire second half.
They looked it.
They took the entire
awesome.
second half off. Yeah, they do. They're coming.
Yep.
All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Dan McLaughlin, Anthony Stalter. Let's do a little NFL Week 11 quick hits. Best win, worst loss. Team you were most impressed by. All that next on 101 ESPN. Well, we still have one more game for Week 11, and it's going to be a great one tonight. We'll get into the Eagles and Chiefs from Arrowhead at some point during the show. But let's look back at what we saw yesterday. Dan McLaughlin, Andrew Marsh, I'm Anthony Stalter. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. All right, boys. If I were to ask you the best win for a team, the best win, given the circumstance.
Okay, I'll go with the Buffalo Bills over the New York
Football Jets.
5 days after firing Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator, they put up 32 on the Jets. I think we're going to find out for sure just how good Buffalo is. They've got the Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, and Dolphins left. Ouch. That's tough. The Jets are awful. Had to bench Zach Wilson, but still, it's a good win after five. I mean, who are they? I guess is what we're still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
You know, is this the offense that we've seen the last couple of years? We saw Josh Allen not have to throw in tons of picks and forcing the ball. I thought that was a key, but 5 days after you fire your offensive coordinator, you were anticipated to be one of the top teams out of the AFC. So for me, that was the best win of the weekend.
I like that. Marsh?
I think there's a lot you could go with, a lot of one-score games here. I'm really torn, but I think given the circumstances of where this team is in the AFC, unfortunately, I have to say the Denver Broncos. Against my Vikings, yeah.
Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, they field goaled the Vikings to death last night until Russell Wilson stepped up, made a big play, Cortland Sutton, big catch, and ended up winning the game. So I got to give them credit. But there's a few other games, too, like the Lions ended up pulling one out against the Bears. That could have been a tough loss for the Lions.
They were down by 2 scores with 4 minutes left.
They could not. I mean, look, if it doesn't matter what the matchup is, if you turn the ball over, you're going to give any team a chance to win.
Yeah.
And the Lions were just doing it. They were very fortunate to win that game yesterday.
I love watching them, though.
They're a fun team.
I went back and looked at this. They're 8-2. That's Detroit's best record since the Kennedy administration.
Makes sense.
I'm dead serious.
Doesn't it feel that way, though? Like, that makes sense.
It does.
Despite having Barry Sanders, despite having Calvin Johnson, despite having Matthew Stafford, that makes sense that this is their best start since the Kennedy administration.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe.
There is another team on here that I think had a huge win, but I want to save that game because that game also, for me, has the worst loss of the week. I'll let you go.
If you're talking about the one that I was thinking, I was going to connect the two.
Connect the two right now.
Browns and Steelers.
Not what I was thinking.
That was my worst.
I thought the Browns winning that game yesterday, I know that they were a small favorite, but the Cleveland Browns winning that one with Dorian Thompson-Robinson against that defense, you knew it was going to be a slogfest. You knew it was going to be a difficult game throughout. You gave the Steelers an opportunity late to win that thing, and instead you took it right from them. You kicked the game-winning field goal. That was going to be ugly, regardless. This is a rookie that is he made his second start against that defense, and you won that game. I thought that was the best win. Now Browns are in great shape.
That's the fourth time this year already the Steelers have scored 10 or fewer. 10 or fewer. And they have so many questions and problems offensively, but yet they still find themselves a chance to get into the playoffs. They're 26th in points, 28th in yards, and yet Mike Tomlin is still trying to figure out how to get in the playoffs and may just do it.
And well said. And it's not all Matt Canada. I know he's a big problem. Kenny Pickett stunk yesterday.
Yes.
It was a great defense, but one team got it done, one team figured it out, and one team didn't. And, with that, the worst loss, that was the Steelers.
That was mine.
You had every opportunity to win that game.
Really?
I thought you had every opportunity to win that game.
While the Los Angeles Chargers are playing football games and losing to the Green Bay Packers, you still think the Steelers had the worst loss?
In my defense, Marsh, I had the Packers in our pick'em pool.
You did.
So I'll
give you total credit for. That was a good pick.
Thank you. I expected I expected the Chargers to lose that game because of the Chargers.
But from an outside perspective,
It's a bad loss.
it's a terrible loss.
But so that's it. I think you bring up a fantastic point. At what point do we start to believe a team when they're telling us who they are? The Chargers aren't good. They've been telling us that. And, there was a texter a couple of weeks ago that was giving us or me crap about Justin Herbert. What more do you want that guy to do? He put the ball in Quentin Johnson's, had to have him, had to have another wide receiver in the first round, dropped it. Keenan Allen's son dropped it, and Keenan Allen's phenomenal. Okay, I'm not crushing it. But at what point do you say you're not good? And everybody knows that Lambeau's their field is terrible. You have to wear certain cleats. Coaches have talked about this. Did you see Eckler slipping?
Yes.
Did you see some of the other players slip? So Brandon Staley clearly has no idea how to prepare his guys for a win.
Green Bay faced 3rd and 20 at their own 15, down by 4, and won the game.
Flag.
I mean, that can't happen.
No, it can't. But so in other words, Marsh, that's kind of, I expected that. Not that it was. I was picking an underdog, right? I realized that the Packers weren't expected or favored to win.
Seahawks losing to the Rams, that was like my tied for first.
They coughed that one up.
Ooh, boy.
There was 2 teams yesterday that I thought were in control almost throughout and lost. It was your Vikings, which I thought were pretty much in control. They blew that game.
Yeah.
The Broncos didn't win it. The Vikings lost it, in my opinion. And the Seahawks, Rams. Seattle was in control. How much was that? Geno Smith getting hurt a factor in that? It's a good question. But still, I thought the Seahawks were in control of that game and still lost. So what was yours then?
Worst loss?
Yeah. Was it the Packers Seahawks?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No. It was the Chargers.
Oh, that's what I meant. Chargers.
Well, yeah.
Chargers Packers.
Yes.
I don't know what I said.
Worst
Chargers
loss for me.
Packers.
You can't lose to the Packers. They stink.
Can't.
But I guess the Chargers do too. Like, you make a great point.
Can't take her home. She's too old.
Well, come on.
The way he said that, I thought Happy Gilmore. She's too old. Anyways,
funny.
All right. Real quick, most impressive victory?
I'm going with the Cowboys, and I know it's the Carolina Panthers, but that was their 6th win this season of 20 points or more. No one is talking really about the Cowboys being legitimate in the NFC. I think they feel like, and I'm talking the general public feels like, well, they're a good team. They're not a great team. Can't get over the hump against the Eagles and some of the other teams. 33-10, you're supposed to win that game. They do it in convincing fashion. And again, 6 times now they won by 20 or more. That is hard to do in the National Football League.
Yeah.
And they're just dominating those teams that they should.
I was going to go Texans here because I don't want to get to the point where we just assume the Houston Texans are going to win, because look at their recent history.
They've won a total of 7 games in 21 and 22 combined.
That's a great stat. I mean, not for them, but
yeah,
that was an impressive win yesterday.
Yes.
C.J. Stroud took a massive hit, stayed in the game, played well. Tank Dell is the real deal. But I got to give it to the Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants, I know, is the Commanders, but this Giants team a week ago could barely move the football. And Saquon Barkley showed up. The defense shelled out. Tommy DeVito had himself a good game.
You love him.
I love DeVito. Not really. But the Giants winning on the road yesterday, I thought was the most impressive win based on the circumstances.
I'll say the Bills. Dan, you mentioned the Bills earlier. Now, is it all that impressive when you beat a team that on offense only has 9 reception yards for an entire team?
Not really.
Not really, but I do think it was huge for that team to respond after firing Ken Dorsey after what happened last week. I think it was a huge win for the Bills to really get right back in the mix for the AFC East and in the playoffs in general. So I'll say the Bills for this past week.
All right, that's Andrew Marsh, Dan McLaughlin. I'm Anthony Stalter. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Lance Lynn, that's your first signing thus far for the Cardinals. We'll dive back into that conversation. And Aaron Nola re-ups with the Phillies. Did anyone really think he was coming to St. Louis after some of the numbers that were thrown around? We'll get into that conversation too here on 101 ESPN.
Guys, I'm tired of all this closed-mindedness on the show. I'm a teacher, going to bring a growth mindset into this. So we start step 1 with Lance Lynn. Step 2, clearly, guys, okay, Rich Hill. And we don't even have to overpay, right? Give him, $10, $15 million with that veteran experience in the dugout now that we lost Waino. And you know what we're also going to do? We're going to, all that money saved, by the way, we're just going to push the walls out at Busch Stadium. Major renovation. Nobody uses the Budweiser Terrace anymore. Everybody knows. We're expanded green seats, just extra money coming in that way. It's fine. And then we'll just walk all the time, steal bases, pitcher duels nightly. Cardinal baseball 2024. Here it comes, baby.
All right, that was Robert. Great mic drop there. I don't know about Rich Hill. I was kind of thinking Michael Walker.
What's wrong with Rich Hill?
He's fine. He's never pitched for the Cardinals before. So after you sign Lance Lynn for $10 million, could be upwards of, I think, $13 million when it's all said and done, according to Jeff Passan. You bring in Michael Walker, get the band together, and then I think you roll out and use one of those last slots on an internal option, Dan. And you're set.
Yeah.
Can you feel the snark? Can you feel the snark, Dan? Because
I
I'm
can
laying
feel
it
the
on
snark.
pretty thick.
Yeah, you are.
We don't know how this is going to wind up. We don't.
7 years, Rich Hill?
Probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you?
Is he 44 yet?
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, he might be 44.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I would also say this about Lynn. So I'm going to go back, and if you're just tuning in, I mentioned that I would anticipate they found a technical flaw with him. Mm-hmm. I noticed it in the fact that the dip on his fastball wasn't there from a year ago. The other part of this is that you're playing at Busch Stadium. Busch Stadium is a pitcher's park. That's part of the equation of what probably went into their minds of, because you can look and say, okay, how many of these things would have been home runs a year ago at Busch Stadium? Well, X would have been. So you're going to have a cut down in his home runs. If this move was made at the back end of finding a 1 and 2, people would be like, yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm. This makes some sense. You're going to get a lot of innings. I mean, second on innings last year was Jack Flaherty at 109. It was 90 innings short of the number one guy on your team.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to get innings. And if you would have had 1 and 2 and this is your third, I think most people, or you say he slots in your 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think most people would have said, I'll take it. Okay, that makes some sense. But when it's the first one out of the chute, that's when you got problems. And I'm still waiting to see. Okay, you made this move. Let's see what else you got.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that. I am. I'm also with you on the optics kind of matter to fans, and the optics
That's
are
the best way to put it. The optics.
Aaron Nola resigns with the Phillies for seven years and $172 million, and then you turn around and sign Lance Lynn. But as we know, we have to be rational here. That it wasn't a 1-2 thing. It wasn't like they signed Nola and the Cardinals said hold my beer, and then they bring in Lance Lynn. They didn't. That's not what they did here. What you mentioned was the key. They signed Lynn because of 2 things they didn't have in the rotation: innings and strikeouts. Is Lance Lynn going to put you over the top? Absolutely not. You have to find a 1 and 2. And if they don't find a 1 and 2 this offseason, they will not be in great shape when it comes to competing for a World Series or a pennant or for multiple series victories. Period. But this is just one step.
An intangible that he brings, and we mentioned this too, he's a rusty nail. Yeah. I think that's something that you have to keep in mind with this rotation. And the rotation had a lot of nice guys last year.
Yes.
Adam Wainwright is a nice guy. Miles Michaelis is a nice guy. Doesn't make them bad pitchers. Hell, they're great in terms of making it to where they've made it. And Michaelis has been an all-star before. Adam Wainwright wins 200 games. You get what my point is. But this dude's got a little edge.
Yeah.
I've been around him a long time, and I loved him. I love being around him. I had a great relationship with him. And I can tell you, though, when you have young pitchers coming, and they do have guys that are coming from AAA to the major leagues, and with like a Zach Thompson, Matthew Liberatore, Graceffo, McCreevy, all these guys that are coming, you can learn a lot from Lance Lynn in just 1 year.
Yeah.
And that stuff does reverberate from years from that year that you meet him and watch him pitch, watch him go about his business to when he's gone, and there's things that you pick up. There's something of that intangible, I think, as to why they brought him here. That's an intangible that you say, it's not going to show up on the stat sheet, not going to show up at Fangraphs, but this guy brings us a little edge, and he's also going to teach. And I guarantee they talk to him like, hey, we got young guys coming. We need you to help be a mentor, too, while you're here. I mean, he's in his late 30s. This is the tail end. Yeah. This might be the end. Who knows? And we need you to help. We need that veteran presence in our rotation.
Yeah, he's got true grit, too.
Oh, man.
True grit, not the kind that's just kind of like fake grit, kind of pissiness.
Yes.
Like they had. What were you saying, Marsh?
Well, so we talk about the Cardinal way a lot, and now it seems like, well, not seems like, but all of the players from the early 2010s, those players are gone now. Yachty, Waino, Albert, they're all gone. And now, obviously, you have Goldie, who's been here for a little bit, Arenado as well, and they're leaders. But I wonder if the Cardinals felt like they were getting away from the Cardinal way from those early 2010 teams, and now they're bringing some pieces back. Lance Lynn, you have Descalso, part of the bench, part of the coaching staff. I wonder if they're trying to reinstate what they had back when they were having success in the early 2010s.
Oh, I'd take it back further than that.
Further than that?
Oh, man. I mean, if you go back to like 04, 05, these guys were, if you're on the opposite side or the other fan base, you think they liked Yadier Molina?
No.
Albert Pujols, Scott Rowland, Tony La Russa, Dave Duncan, Jim Edmonds, Izzy. I mean, we're talking about some dudes. I mean, those are dudes that you did not like on the opposition. If they're on your team, you loved them. But when they were the opposition, man, you hated
no doubt
Tony La Russa. You hated Dave Duncan. You hated some of the players I just mentioned. They played with an edge. And Lance Lynn comes from that family a little bit of
100%.
The 2011 team, 2010, 12, 13.
And not just doing it the right way, but doing it the right way to win games.
Exactly. Winning.
It's one thing to say you go about your business in a certain way. I think that's great. I think you need that. But are you handling your business to win games? And Lance Lynn, I think, is all about winning and competing. And I think not that guys last year weren't interested in that, but I think maybe you get too far into the weeds of, well, we have to do it this way, we have to do it this way, and then you take accountability. And what are you doing to prepare to win games? And what are you doing inning to inning to win games?
You just hit something that I'm all about it, man. If you're out of line with Lance Lynn as a part of this team or rotation specifically, you don't think he's going to get in your face and say something? I mean, you don't think he's going to tell a young guy, hey, you're not doing it right. And I'm going to tell you this is how we do it. Like Lance Lynn not only comes with an edge, but he's old school. That's okay by me, man. Give me some of those guys.
No doubt.
You may not win them all, but you're going to win a lot because this guy is getting in your face, and he's going to teach you how to be a pro. And I think that's one of the intangibles as to why you bring him into this rotation, into the organization.
Yes.
Do you think Cardinal fans are a little upset with the signing of Lance Lynn because of what happened with Aaron Nola yesterday?
No. Do I think Cardinal fans are?
Yes. I think part of them are because I think
they're intertwined a little bit.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way. It goes back to what I said at the start of the segment where it's rationally the two things have nothing to do with each other. But when you're thinking about Aaron Nola as a Cardinals fan and you're that drumbeat in your head of they got to get Nola. They got to get Nola. And then he re-signs with the Phillies. Your rational brain it shuts off.
Yeah.
And the irrational part says, "Oh, you combat this with signing Lance Lynn." That's not the case. You weren't going to get Nola. Look at those numbers. You weren't going to get him.
Look at some of the moves right now the Cardinals have made, and we can scoff at the idea, make fun of it, and I'm sure some fans are of Daniel Descalso. But it goes back to like Marshy's point. That guy figured out how to be a pro. Okay, this staff doesn't have a lot of major league experience in terms of playing. So you're getting a Daniel Descalso. There's a reason they want Yadier Molina in that dugout.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is he going to bring a baseball sense to this club if he comes back, but he also brings back an edge. You bring back Lance Lynn. What are you getting back to? An edge. some toughness, some grit.
Yep.
And that's needed. I mean, it's a long season, and you need guys like that to kind of teach you the way and teach you how it's been here and what the expectations are. And they had a lot of turnover this year. And, with Waino gone, he's kind of the last of that generation of players going back to 2004 and beyond. So I think some of the moves here, if you read between the lines, are not necessarily bringing the band back together. I'm not saying that, but we're looking to get experience, and we're looking to get that rusty nail back to where we have an edge. And that's okay. I mean, play with an edge. I'd love to see that rather than laying over. There's no doubt about that.
It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Dan McLaughlin, Andrew Marsham, Anthony Stalter, 3:13. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. All right, forget the expectations now. We talked about this with the Blues last hour when we talked about the makeup of the team and all of that. Let's carry into that discussion. And also apply to the Cardinals. I was thinking about this yesterday watching
They're just the cat's meow is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, I was thinking about this and watching one of the NFL teams yesterday. Can you completely remake yourself in virtually one offseason? And it kind of applies to the Blues, kind of applies to the Cardinals. We'll get into that next on 101 ESPN. Watching some of the games yesterday, I had the thought as I watched the Houston Texans win again. Do you guys think it's possible that a team can change around its misfortunes in just one offseason? Because the Texans have kind of done that. It's not like they haven't had top picks in previous years. They've had that. But they hired DeMeco Ryans. He puts his staff together. They draft C.J. Stroud. They draft Will Anderson. They draft Tank Dell. And now you're sitting there and you're looking and you're like, wow, they're a playoff team. They're a wild card contender at the very least, and they're going to challenge the Jaguars in the AFC South. As you look at the local teams, Dan, Blues, Cardinals, this kind of applies to both of them because they didn't make the playoffs last year.
The biggest difference, though, I see is that to try to do it in a cap league as opposed to no cap, luxury tax, so to speak, with Major League Baseball, you get taxed if you go over a certain amount.
Yeah.
But if you want to go out and spend all the money in the world on players, you can do it. And that can turn you around fairly quickly. Doesn't always work just to throw money at it and say, we're going to bring in Marshy, we're bringing in Anthony, we're going to pay him a bundle of money, and all of a sudden we've turned this thing around. I also think it depends on the position. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, if you're the Cardinals and you throw a ton of money at your pitching staff, you should be better than 20 games below 500, which they were a year ago. Right. That thing was in shambles last year. That's the way I look at it. So could the Cardinals turn this thing around quickly? I think they can. I don't sit there and have exorbitant aspirations that they're a World Series team. I'm a believer that once you're in, anything can happen. Yeah. I really do believe that. But they've got to throw it at their pitching. And I'm not... Look, we talk so much focus on the starting rotation. This has to be collectively... The rotation's ERA was 5.08. That's bad. But, I mean, this has got to be bullpen, too. So I'm talking about throwing my money. If I got it, it's going to pitching, and more pitching. And as long as I can get that and find maybe a diamond in the rough, find a guy that in all of a sudden spring training emerges, helps me with my bullpen, then, yeah, I think you can turn this thing around fairly quickly. I really do.
What do you think, Marsh?
I agree with you. I think that the quarterback, if you find the quarterback, you know, that's step one.
Right. So, like, what's the equivalent to that in hockey and baseball?
I think for baseball, it's pitching, and I think we established that. For hockey...
Is it your defense and your goaltending?
I think so. Obviously, you need some players up front to score. In baseball, you need your offense to come alive, and, you know, that can end up hindering you in the playoffs if the offense isn't there. But if you do have great pitching and you have great defense, you can suppress other teams' offense, and of course good goaltending as well. I think those are the equivalents. So I think it's definitely possible. I mean, we've seen baseball teams do. I mean, look at the Diamondbacks. They weren't really that great.
Right.
You know, the Rangers, they had 100 losses last year, but they had the players there. They just needed to add on to that, and they did. They did a really good job. I think they evaluated their roster correctly and then went out and got the right pieces.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Cardinals are going to do so this offseason. If they've evaluated what they have now, perhaps they'll move away from a position player with a trade, and are they going to bring in the right pieces for the starting rotation? Lance Lynn is the first ball to drop. We'll see what they can do for the other two. I don't know if they get like a Sonny Gray and you trade for like a Dylan Cease. Does that make you a World Series team? Maybe. Mm-hmm. I definitely think you can win the NL Central, but then again, people aren't worried about that right now. They want to win the pennant and get to the World Series.
Yeah. 618 says a one-year turnaround is more likely in football because drafted players don't go back to college like in baseball or in hockey. Mm-hmm. And that's a legitimate point. That's what I was saying. If you want to throw a lot of money at it, that's how you can turn things around, or if you get really creative with what you want to trade.
Right.
Those are two ways to do it fairly quickly.
It is. That's a really good point that the texter made. Marsh, you were kind of hitting on this. I feel like the more we get away from the tenets of, okay, if I have a quarterback, an O-line, a D-line, and a good coaching staff, I'm gonna be a handful. Just those things. QB, O-line, D-line. Now I'm saying it just those things. I mean, those are important. But if I can rush the passer, if I can protect the passer, and I got a QB and a coaching staff that knows what it's doing, I'm going to be pretty good. I'm going to be a playoff team.
Texans first-year coach, to your point.
Yes. So they got the right guy, seemingly.
Yep.
It's only been, 9 games, 10 games, whatever it's been. But seemingly they got the right guy in D'Amico Ryans. But the pitching, if I build a pitching staff, I know I'm going to be good. Now, I can't have an Iowa-esque offense where it's just putrid and I got to win everything, in baseball parlance, 1-0. But if I have a pitching staff, solid rotation and a bullpen, especially on the back end,
oh, yeah.
I'm going to be a playoff team.
If you can pitch, you can win. Because if your offense goes cold in baseball, which will happen, and you're going to have stretches of games that your offense is terrible.
It's going to be bad.
It's just such a long season that trends happen that way. Guys get cold. They get cold at the wrong time. Goldie Arenado get cold. All of a sudden, you can't win in the playoffs, things like that. But your pitching can keep you into games. And then all of a sudden, you pop a home run from somebody you're not expecting, and all of a sudden you win a game. Mm-hmm. That happens all the time. So to your point, 100% right. If you have enough pitching, you can contend.
Yeah.
And that's why, I go back to these numbers, man. The bullpen, 24th in ERA, rotation ERA over 5, 29th in strikeout rate from the bullpen. This game is about strikeouts. It's about power.
It's not good enough.
It's just not good enough. You're just not going to win games. And that's when you go back to last season. They had times where they scored plenty of runs and should have won games. They got zero pitching.
Yeah.
And so let's say, you win 15 of those. I can tell you that you probably win more games than being 20 games under 500. The point being is that when you're still in contention and you got a reason to go to the ballpark, you play better baseball.
Yes.
When you're out of it and things are just going south, the entire thing just crashes in September, and it looks a lot worse than maybe it really is.
True.
And that could happen.
Could you see the Cardinals playing this out for the trade deadline, where they don't necessarily...
Yes, because they've had it. They've done that before, Marsh. Yes.
They get their rotation to be at a point where it's way better than last year, but still not good enough to be at the upper echelon of the National League.
Yeah.
And then you fix it at the trade deadline.
That'd be a mistake, but yes.
I see them, they could do that. I also see them taking this thing into spring training. You can get deals in spring training. I remember Kyle Loesch. Kyle Loesch was a guy that they got at the very end of spring training, and he wound up being a really good Cardinal.
I was about to say, he was a good Cardinal.
Oh, man, was he good. And he was the kind of guy that took the ball every fifth day. He was sturdy. He was part of the 2011 World Championship team.
Yeah.
You need guys like that. And, that's something to think about. This is a long offseason. This is just the very beginning. And you haven't even hit the winter meetings yet where things go flying, man. Stuff is just going, you bounce things off a wall and it might hit, it might stick, and all of a sudden you've got a deal and you've got a pitcher. So there's a long ways to go.
I will say it is possible, and we've seen it happen here in St. Louis, to have, a depth rotation with just one dude. We've seen it. They've won World Series like that. Chris Carpenter was that guy.
Right.
And then the rest of the guys, they had good, solid starting pitchers. Look at 2006. Jeff Weaver won Game 5 for you to win the World Series.
Dreamweaver.
That's right.
It's Fastlane on 101 at ESPN. Let's play Narrative or Reality next in the Fastlane.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Lance Lynn is your newest St. Louis Cardinal. 1-year deal, $10 million with up to $3 million in performance bonuses. That is according to Jeff Passan. We've talked multiple times about the signing today. If you missed that, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. The Blues split over the weekend. They lost to the LA Kings 5-1, but then picked up a victory last night over the Anaheim Ducks 3-1. The final, the Blues will take on the Arizona Coyotes on Wednesday. Pregame starts at 7. Puck drop is at 8, and you can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Tonight, we have Monday Night Football. It's Kansas City going up against Philadelphia. Pregame starts at 6:30 right here on 101 ESPN. We have Narrative or Reality coming up next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center Update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, the independent American standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
With Dan McLaughlin, I'm Anthony Stalter. Dan filling in for Jamie Rivers. And Blues fans, you can join Donnie Fandango and Jamie Rivers for a special live taping of the Last Minute Blues podcast. It's next Wednesday from 6 to 8, and it's going to be at Twin Peaks in Maplewood. Again, next Wednesday, 6 to 8 at Twin Peaks in Maplewood. You can hang out with Donnie, Jamie, enjoy Twin Peaks, the selection of local craft beers that they have, handcrafted whiskey cocktails, and more. Then from 7 to 8, hang out as the guys cover all the latest hockey news during that special live Last Minute Blues podcast taping. It's all happening next Wednesday, 6 to 8. Donnie, Jamie at Twin Peaks. All right, time to play Narrative or Reality in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. What do you got, Marsh?
Narrative or reality, if the Phillies don't win the World Series within the next 5 years, all of these signings will be the biggest blunder of signings in MLB history.
Well, I think that's a reality. That's a reality. Because if you're not willing to draft and develop and go that route, or some combination of drafting, developing, trading, some free agents, if this is your model, you better win. Because you're shelling out a lot of money for that roster. You're basically trying to cut corners in some respects to win a championship. I'm not faulting them. It's all within the rules. But if you're going to buy all these players, you're going to buy every top free agent, and they're apparently interested in Yamamoto, Dan, you better win.
I'm going to get it on a technicality and say it is a narrative.
Oh, come on.
Because you just had the San Diego Padres. So he said in the history of Major League Baseball. Now, do I think the reality is that would be significantly looked at and scrutinized? Yes. Of course it would if you don't win. However, when you look at what the Padres just did this last year, that might be the most significant of the teams that spend money and did nothing with it.
That's a good point.
I mean, that team was loaded. I mean, if you would have said before the season you're going to have, or 2 years ago, you're going to have Josh Hader, we're going to have Juan Soto, we're going to have Tatis, we're going to have Manny Machado,
Jay Cronenworth,
Darvish. You're going to win. You're going to win big.
Yeah.
Joe Musgrove has turned into a stud at times. Blake Snell wins the NL Cy Young Award, and you don't get into the playoffs?
Yeah, not great.
Not great at all. At least this team gets to the playoffs, and they're competing in a really tough division in which the Mets in the next 5 years are going to spend a lot of money. From now until then, that's a lot of money. They're going to get some money off the books and then revamp and say, let's go for it because their owner, Cohen, wants to win. The Atlanta Braves are set for many years because they locked up a lot of their great talent for multi-year deals. They're in a tough division, but the Phillies are loaded with talent. And I just, if I'm a Philly fan, I'm excited that Nola re-signed. He's our guy. He had a great year or has had great years, and he's in the fold for a long time. My only concern with him would be the back end of that deal. As he starts to age and a lot of wear and tear on that shoulder, that body, usually the back end of those deals turn out to be pretty ugly.
Narrative or reality?
Narrative 2, please.
Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, and USC are the biggest disappointment in college football in the last decade.
Oh, I don't know about the last decade. I thought you were going to just say this season.
Season for sure.
Season for sure.
In my opinion.
Who's a bigger disappointment this year than USC? I can't find one. There's not going to be one. The last decade, I'd have to look.
Miami? What about Miami this year? I thought they'd be better than they are.
I thought they'd be better too. Certainly. Did you see the Louisville Miami? Did you see the stands?
Yes. Nobody's there.
That for Miami, that's pathetic. And I'm not blaming the.
Funny you mentioned. I was thinking that the whole time watching that game. I watched most of that game, and I could not believe it.
Is there a worse way to lose? By the way,
no.
You completed a Hail Mary at the end of the game. You still lost.
Down at the 5.
Is there a worse way to lose?
What do they do? Not take a knee?
No.
Oh wait, that was earlier in the season.
That was earlier in the season when they caught some. Yeah,
Mario Cristobal messed up.
Certainly disappointing. But not to the level of USC. I've got another one for you, though. I don't think it outweighs USC, but I think LSU's had a disappointing season.
You think so?
Based on expectations coming into the year. 8-3, blown out in the first game by Florida State. They lose to Ole Miss in a shootout, and they didn't hammer, but they were handled by Bama.
What'd you think of Brian Kelly still throwing the ball at the end of the game this weekend? Now, I know he's trying to get his guy, the Heisman.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Totally, 100%. But, man, there's winning and winning with, I don't know.
Yeah, it's Bush League, but I guess it's Bush League for the right reasons.
Yeah.
To get Daniels.
He's awesome, by the way. What kind of pro is he going to be?
I wonder that. Because it's not a pro-ready system, but he's got athleticism. He's got a strong arm.
Yep. Slender, man. He's really slender, Bill.
Slender. And I kind of pushed against that with Bryce Young. Like, he's fine. He's a stud. Obviously, it's not gone well.
No.
I'll tell you somebody that might be interesting. And it's not that he's put up eye-popping numbers at all. And I said, and I'll take this because I said that Oregon State was going to beat Washington. And
I had Washington, by the way.
Did you?
And they weren't even favored in that game.
No, they're slight.
I did it for my friends.
Of course you did. They're slight favorites. Oregon State was at home. But DJ Alungalea. He's playing in a pro system. I wonder if he's somebody that's going to
center more than anybody.
Yeah. He's going to slip to the middle rounds, but I wonder if he's going to be somebody that actually turns some heads when he gets to the NFL. But in terms of Daniels, I don't know.
Where did he...
DJ?
Yeah.
Clemson.
Thank you. Let's just skip the last name.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uyunglele.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if he was... Yeah, it was Clemson.
Yep.
I was thinking NC State, then I was thinking North Carolina. I did everywhere except Clemson.
You were in the ACC.
I was.
Narrative or reality? The Cards will regret letting go of Juan Yepez.
That's a narrative. That's a narrative. I was all about Juan Yepez coming into the year.
After his home run against the Phillies in the playoffs.
Home run of the Phillies and the Albert
I was going to say, yes.
You watch. I said, everybody, you watch. This Juan Yepez is going to be great. He finished the year in the minors, basically.
I was so surprised. I don't know if you guys are surprised. I was surprised at his lack of usage at the major league level this year. Mm-hmm. They didn't bring him
100%.
up at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he played a little bit sparingly in parts of the season, but, man, he was hardly up at all this year. Yeah. I just thought he would be around a little bit more than... when they were looking for sparks and they were trying to find different guys to play the outfield, totally. And you had Brendan Donovan out there and Tommy Edmonds in center. And I'm not saying that he'd have played center, but you could have moved other guys.
Right.
I was a little surprised that Yepez stayed down in the minor leagues.
I think for this team, he bats with the wrong hand.
Yeah.
If he's a left-hander, are we seeing more of Juan Yepez than of Alec Burleson?
It's a valid point. I mean, Burleson didn't really hit for a lot of power.
No.
And you're looking for left-handed power in particular. It's something across the board in the game that's not there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
It'll be fun watching him in the World Series next year.
You talking about Yepez or Burleson?
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe if the Cardinals end up trading Burleson for a pitcher.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last one here. Narrative or reality? Florida State deserves to be outside of the top 4 with the loss of their starting quarterback.
This is going to be interesting.
We just talked about it.
Yeah. I don't think that they deserve to be outside of the top 4 because of Jordan Travis being hurt. I think Washington was going to leapfrog them no matter what.
You think so?
Yeah, because it goes back to what I've talked about.
Yep.
It's wins against top 25 opponents. So Washington now.
And where you do it.
Sure, certainly.
Yep.
So Washington wins over Oregon, USC, Utah, and Oregon State. That's 4. That's as much as Georgia. And you could say, oh, well, how good does the win over USC look now? It doesn't matter. It is when you played them and what the team was ranked. So they have 4. If you look at Florida State only has victories over LSU and Duke. Washington with the win in Corvallis on Saturday night. Regardless of Jordan Travis, unfortunately, that's heartbreaking.
It was awful
to watch that injury. I think Washington was going to leapfrog Florida State no matter what. I also don't think they're out of it.
Florida State.
Michigan, I don't. Because Michigan or Ohio State, one of them going to lose, and they're going to be bounced.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then, Florida State should handle Louisville in the ACC championship.
Never know now with the backup.
Yeah.
Louisville's pesky.
They are.
Louisville's one of those teams where, as you watch the Miami
my friends
game,
a couple times this year.
There you go. Against Miami is like, wow, you're not very good. Oh, you are kind of good, and you're fun. Louisville's going to give Florida State some issues, I think.
I think you're right, though, about Washington. I hadn't thought of it. It's human nature that when a guy goes down, even though they say, no, injury doesn't affect this, it would be human nature not to look at them differently. They're clearly going to be a different team.
Yeah.
But to your point, Michigan, Ohio State, someone's gonna lose. So even if you drop out, you're back in.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's not going to be an SEC situation where even if the loser, even if you lose, you're still going to have a chance. You're not, because Michigan doesn't have the resume this year. They have to go undefeated. Ohio State has a better resume as they've beaten Notre Dame, Penn State, and if they lose to Michigan, you're done too. You only got two wins against top 25 teams. They don't have the resumes.
Will you look up something for me?
Sure.
Penn State, Nittany Lions, look at their schedule.
Uh-huh.
This could be narrative or reality for me.
Okay.
I'm going to just go on the airwaves and just personally do this.
Narrative 5, please.
Nice word, Marshy. How many home games does Penn State play?
That's a good question.
They seem like they're at home every single week.
3, 4, 5,
It
6,
seems like Mizzou's
7.
like that too.
They've had 7 home games this year.
7 of their
12. 7 of their 11.
Wow.
They were at Illinois. They're at Northwestern. They're at Ohio State. They're at Maryland, and they will be at Michigan State.
Okay.
How many does Mizzou have? I swear Mizzou has played so many home games this year.
Yeah, Mizzou. Now, do you count?
I'll count the one at the Dome.
Okay. South Carolina, Middle Tennessee, Kansas State, Memphis, LSU, South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida. They've had 8.
8 home games for Mizzou.
Games.
If you count the Dome.
If you count the Dome, which is technically not a home game. It's a neutral site.
No, but it's
Right.
a home game.
Yeah, out of their 11. 7 were home. 1 was home-ish.
So we're looking at 2 different teams here in the top 25. I'd love to count up all the home games for Florida State, for Michigan, for Alabama.
Michigan didn't play a road game, I think, until week 5 or 6.
It's got to be just ridiculous how many home games these teams play.
Yeah. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. That's narrative or reality. Let's dive back into the NFL. Let's do some 4 downs next on 101 ESPN. Well, as everybody knows, this is the time of year when everybody's thinking about the perfect gift for that perfect someone. And it might be a family member, might be a husband, might be a wife, but something that everyone will love, something that is easy to purchase, and something that's unique. Let's talk about Sound Story. Sound Story is absolutely remarkable. So Sound Story, I see every family members coming into the studio all the time. Sound Story is a professionally produced hour-long conversation in which you or one of your loved ones is interviewed by your choice of host. So it could be Randy Carricker, could be Tim McKernan, could be me, Anthony Stalter. It's a conversation that includes experiences from their childhood, their school, their career, meeting that special someone, and all of that is done, again, professionally, edited professionally, and then wrapped up in a perfect gift for you. And since it's Black Friday this week, Sound Story has a special Black Friday discount of 20% off. It's a gift card. It's 20% off gift cards at mysoundstory.com when you enter promo code ESPN now through Friday. Again, it's a Black Friday sale. Sound Story gives you a discount of 20% off on a gift card at mysoundstory.com. Enter the promo code ESPN now through Friday to take advantage of the deal. But then you'll have your opportunity to listen to a podcast interview with your grandparents, your mom, your dad, one of your best friends telling their life story. It's all now possible with Sound Story. So check us out, mysoundstory.com. Again, mysoundstory.com. Take advantage of the Black Friday discount of 20% off with that gift card. Just a reminder that we're going to have Chiefs-Eagles right here for you on 101 ESPN tonight. Monday Night Football, Chiefs-Eagles at Arrowhead. The rematch, of course, of last year's Super Bowl pregame starting at 6:30 right here on 101 ESPN. And just a quick congratulations to us in the fast lane because we once again beat the Rizzuto Show this week. They could not come back this week. The math doesn't work out for them, Dan. So we won again against the Rizzuto Show. And I believe we are now, March 9, 2-1, 8-2-1?
I think we're 8-2-1.
8-2-1, Dan, over the Rizzuto Show.
Experts.
That's a beatdown.
I want to say congratulations to our very own Jay Delsing, who hosts Golf with Jay Delsing from 8 to 10 every Sunday here on 101 ESPN, but he was officially inducted in the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame.
Hell yeah.
Bernie Miklas went in, longtime Post-Dispatch columnist, went into Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Todd Light went in. Adam Wainwright went in. So there were some big names that went in, and it was a great setting at the Chase Park Plaza yesterday, and congratulations to all those inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame.
Well said, Dan. Jay Delsing, phenomenal person. Love him.
Oh, he's the best.
Bernie, love him like a brother.
Yep.
Love Bernie. And
he's a longtime member of our family here at 101.
Absolutely, yes. And, of course, hands down, one of the best writers, sports or otherwise.
Oh, yeah. Nationwide.
I have ever read.
Yep.
Just an incredible talent.
I'm
Bernie Miklas.
100% with you.
Yep.
And congratulations to Matt Holliday on the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame ballot.
Yes. Does he get in, you think, first ballot? I hope so.
Matt Holliday?
Yeah.
No. Do I think he goes into baseball's Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
No.
At all?
Hate saying that. It's going to be no. I don't.
That hit me like a ton of bricks.
It'd be very, very tough for him to get in.
Son of a...
It's just to be on the ballot is a big deal. Like, I remember talking to Jason Isringhausen about it, and he said, they send you this letter, and there's some kind of, something that comes along with it, but congratulations, you're on, Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame ballot, and, will be voted upon by the Baseball Writers Association of America. And he said, I kept that. He's like, man, he goes, I know I'm not a Hall of Famer, but man, to be even just listed on this is a big deal. And he said, but getting a red jacket was more meaningful to him than going into baseball's Hall of Fame, being from Brighton, Illinois, and local kid, and all-time saves leader now in Cardinals history.
And, of course, Matt was, he's got his red jacket, too. So
yep, big deal.
Wow, Dan, I wasn't expecting you to say that. Who can you pay off to get Matt in?
Oh, there's a lot of people.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to get him in.
Let's see that done.
Hall of Fame person, I know that.
Yeah, Matt's incredible.
He is.
And maybe one of his kids.
His kids might have a better chance to get to the Hall of Fame than he does.
He had a great career, too.
He's got, Jackson was just named the #1 prospect in all of baseball. He's #1 in all of baseball. I think that was according to Baseball America.
And I wonder what...
And the next one might be as good, if not better.
Yes, who's a shortstop, too, isn't he?
I believe so.
So, Jackson, I wonder with the Orioles being such a young team.
Yeah.
You got some guys that are potentially blocking Jackson. I wonder what his ETA is
this year.
So he's up. Maybe
they'll figure
not
it out.
As a shore. Maybe he's somewhere else.
They will figure it out.
Yeah.
I remember he came in the booth, I want to say like as recently as 3 years ago. It was right before the draft. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. I mean, this kid, he just looked the part. You know, some people, when you watch them, they're you just like, yeah, it looks like a baseball player.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, it looks like a really good baseball player. Like, this guy has a chance to be really good just by looking at him and how he conducted himself.
What are the rules for going into the Hall of Fame as a player? Say you don't make it as a player, but you do as a manager? Like, how does that work?
So that goes to the like Jim Leland is a good example.
Yeah.
The Veterans Committee. So the Veterans Committee has a chance to vote you in.
Okay.
So you're off the ballot, so to speak, for the Baseball Writers Association of America, but you go to the Veterans Committee, and that is decided, that's voted upon with a certain group of people. Some are contemporaries that will either vote you in or vote you out, but that's done during the winter meetings.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Jim Leland's got a great shot, like, for instance, to go in this year. Remember, Harold Baines was kind of a controversial pick at that time, but, you know, he got in that way. See, I think Jim Edmonds is going to have a shot. I think people reflect on his career more so in 15 years than they did. He spent 1 year on the ballot. That is criminal to me.
Wow.
And once you're off the ballot, you're off.
I think that's ridiculous. I saw a tweet. It was either this morning or yesterday, and it was like, balls hitting the gap. You have to pick one player to catch the ball to save your life, who you picking? And people are like, Jim Edmonds. And
Really?
with the video of him robbing Brad Ausmus in 2004.
The story behind that, by the way, are we supposed to be talking NFL?
No, we're going to save that.
Okay.
We got the gauntlet coming up in a couple of minutes.
So the story behind that is that I've talked to Jimmy about that play, is that he looked in, got the sign. Jeff Suppan is on the mound. Brad Ausmus is at the plate. He knew that Ausmus on certain pitches would pull the ball. Not with power, but he would pull the ball. Jimmy actually, as the pitch is getting thrown, started running to his right to make the catch, and it's one of the most famous catches in Cardinal history, because if the ball gets down, it's Game 7.
Yeah.
They lose the game. The game before was Game 6, and he hit the home run to stave off elimination in extra innings, and then the next day he makes that catch, and it saves the whole season and takes them to the World Series in 04. But he started running as the pitch was being made because he knew what was called. He knew how Ausmus hit that pitch. He knew the location of the pitch. Suppan didn't miss location very often, and started running before the ball hit the bat.
Wow.
And that's how he got there.
First of all, thanks for sharing that. That's one of those stories I love, and I know listeners love too. That's remarkable. That what you just described is why analytics and instincts should be teammates. Because the analytics are saying it's a trend. This is what he does.
Yep.
Jimmy knew that, but he also had the instincts to say, I need to start now.
Absolutely.
I need to start running now. But you without the analytics or knowledge or information, you don't even think about that.
That's right.
But he had the instincts of not only, okay, he prefers this, I'm going to have the instincts of, I'm going to start right now so I get a jump on this.
Yep.
That's a remarkable story.
Baseball IQ.
Off the charts.
I've said, to me, like savant, baseball savants. I mean, you get to the major leagues, you're an unbelievable player, right? You get to the NFL, you're an unbelievable player. I don't care. Give me the worst guy that you think on a team is, and he's still a hell of a player.
Yeah.
But Jimmy, I always said Jimmy, Albert Pujols, Yachty, and Chris Carpenter had the baseball savant. Like they were seeing the game at a different level and playing it at a different level than most guys.
Yeah.
And that's what made them great. They were just unbelievable thinkers of the game.
Troy Polamalu was like that for me. Troy
He's another
Polamalu
one.
is one of my favorite players of all time because of the instincts that he had. I mean, he would just go.
Yep. And knew where the ball was going to go. Read plays.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Started early and just smoked people.
Great stuff. That's Dan McLaughlin, Andrew Marsham, Anthony Stalter. By the way, so we won the week for the Pick'em Challenge. If you're wondering who's up for getting shot, I finished the week with 11. Or, well, I shouldn't say finished because we get the game tonight. I had 11 points. Brad had 10. Marsh, Jamie, and Kerry Davis all with 8. So it'll be out of that group. Kerry, Marsh, Jamie. Marsh, you're up for 3 shots, right?
Yes.
Jamie's up for 3 or 2? No, he's up for 3.
3.
And Kerry, I believe, is up for 3.
Yes.
So one of you guys is going to take 3 shots based on the tiebreaker. Now you have, Marsh, you have the Eagles.
Yep.
Kerry has the Eagles, and Jamie has the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So if the Chiefs win, it'll be between you and Kerry.
Yep.
If the Eagles win, it's going to be Jamie. A lot to root for, depending on who you want to see shot. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. We got the Gauntlet next. We got the last Gauntlet champion for round 1 next on 101 ESPN. Well, I wanted to call my guy Stewie for some information on down payments. So we got Stewie on the line. Stewie, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to down payments. So what can you tell our listeners about it and what they need to know?
Well, Anthony, I don't have enough time in this 60-second spot to go through all of it, but here's what I'm going to tell you, okay? Don't do MHTC. If you're looking for low down payment, we have a great alternative. 1% down, 1% down with no closing. You're going to get into the house. It's going to cost you the same amount of money than MHTC. With MHTC, you can't refinance the loan for 5 years unless you pay off that grant. Our grant is forgivable 1%. Now, there's even a special thing we're doing. Certain parts of St. Louis, we're going to offer you $5,000 towards that 1% down payment. So at the end of the day, you're going to have no closing costs. It's going to cost you $0 to get in the house. You heard it. No money down at all, no closing costs, nothing. Certain parts of St. Louis are eligible for it. Call us. We'll tell you all about it. You get the bagel loan, nothing. You get the house of your dreams. And it's like, it didn't cost me a dime. Call us and we'll tell you all about it.
Well, it's not going to cost you a dime if you actually pick up the phone and call Stewie or text Stewie and say, hey, I caught all of what you said on 101, or I caught some of the conversation with you and Anthony. I need to know more, though. You got to call him, 314-324-4440, or you could Google the bagel loan, but do it now. Stewie, great stuff as always, man.
Have a good one.
NMLS number 226715.
Warriors, 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you master the gauntlet?
Brought to you by Master, your hometown source for business communications for more than 30 years. Visit masstour.com.
Time for the Gauntlet in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. It's 4:05. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler, with Dan McLaughlin and Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter, and we welcome Aaron back to the program. Aaron is our last first-round champion that will participate in the Gauntlet Playoffs.
How many have made it?
There's 10 total, and I believe 5 have made it now to the second round.
Is that
Marsh?
what it is?
So, yes, 5 have made it.
Awesome.
And if Aaron wins today, he will be the 6th person to head to the second round.
There you go. Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Well, welcome back to the show. Remind us, who did you beat for the Gauntlet Trophy?
Like the last one?
Yeah.
It was Rivers, I think.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. So I think Marsh was telling you the new rules, the new setup. But for those that don't know, what Aaron is going to tell us is whether or not he wants to choose his category today or his opponent. Whatever he chooses, if he advances to the second round, he's got to either stick with that category or an opponent. So, Aaron, what would you like to do? Would you like to choose your category and leave the wheel up for choosing your opponent? Or would you like to choose your opponent and have the wheel choose your category?
I think the opponent.
Okay. Who would you like to take on, Marsh or me?
I'll do you.
All right.
There's a lot of confidence in there, too.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm kind of nervous now.
No hesitation whatsoever.
No, I wasn't nervous before, but now I'm definitely nervous. This is my first Gauntlet playoff opportunity.
Is it your first?
Yeah. This is my first one.
There's a lot of respect the listeners have for you, Anthony.
Well, I don't know about that.
I do.
Thanks, Dan.
No problem.
You just pump me up. I appreciate it. Aaron, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Aaron, you know the drill. You're going to have to tell me to spin the wheel. By the way, Aaron, you went on a vacation this past weekend, if I'm not mistaken. How was that?
It was awesome, man. Went down to Tampa and visited some college buddies. One of them got married.
Nice, and you all survived. That's a great story.
Yes.
Aaron, let's have some confidence today. You're going to spin that wheel. Go ahead and tell Marshy, spin that wheel, please.
All right, spin that wheel, Marsh.
All right, Aaron, which category are you looking forward to getting today?
I kind of like the rain.
Well, it was almost random. It just barely landed on football, so football will be your category today. Are you okay with that?
I have no choice, so yes.
That is very true. All right, let me give the launch codes to Dan. Here you go, Dan.
Thank you, sir.
All right, here we go. Football is the category. Question number 1. What number did Marshall Faulk wear for the entirety of his NFL career?
Let's say 20.
Can you say that one more time?
20.
20 is your final answer?
No, 28.
28. So 28. Final answer?
Yeah.
Question 2. Who was the last team that beat the Steelers in the playoffs back in the 2021 postseason? Who was the last team to beat the Steelers in the playoffs back in the 2021 postseason?
I'll need the option.
Miami Dolphins, Kansas City Chiefs, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Kansas City Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs, is that what you said? You're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
Final answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Question 3.
Question number 3 is which quarterback has the most wins in Steelers franchise history?
I'll go with Roethlisberger.
Is Big Ben your final answer?
Yes, sir.
Question 4. The last time Mizzou won their bowl game, they beat Minnesota 33-17. Name that bowl game.
I'll need the option.
Cotton Bowl, Citrus Bowl, Independence Bowl.
Do the Citrus Bowl.
Final answer?
Yeah.
All right.
All righty. Let's bring Anthony back in here if he's paying attention. How you feeling today, Aaron?
I think I got 2 of them right, for sure.
Well, we'll find out here soon.
Anthony, we have football.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, football.
I'm excited.
Okay.
All right, I'm excited.
All right, Tim. Question number 1. What number did Marshall Faulk wear for the entirety of his NFL career?
He wore 28. Final answer.
Question 2. Who was the last team that beat the Steelers in the playoffs back in the 2021 postseason?
2021 season, eh? So that was the year after the COVID year. They lost to the Browns. They got crushed, I think, at home by Shaky Bakey. But let me think here. Because I think that was I don't think there's anybody in the stands. So I think that was the COVID year. So that wouldn't have been 2021. Big Ben must have made it another time. Oh, it was his last game. It was Big Ben's last game, which would have been, I believe, at Arrowhead. And they got throttled. I think it was the Chiefs.
Final answer?
Yes. Chiefs, final answer. Yeah.
Question number 3. Which quarterback has the most wins in Steelers franchise history?
We got a little Steelers thing going on here, huh? Most wins in Steelers franchise history? It's got to be Big Ben. Most Super Bowls, no. Big Ben played for a long time there, so I'm going to go Ben Roethlisberger. Final answer.
Question 4. The last time Mizzou won their bowl game, they beat Minnesota 33-17. Name that bowl game.
Shoot or shoot. For some reason, I want to say it was the Outback Bowl, but now I'm thinking it was like the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl. Can I have the options on this one?
The options.
Narrow it down here.
Cotton Bowl.
Nope.
Citrus Bowl.
Nope.
Independence Bowl.
Son of a. Where was it? You said?
Last time, I didn't tell you.
Oh, you didn't tell me. Okay.
But just the last time Mizzou won their bowl game, they beat Minnesota 33-17. Name that bowl game. You were trying to get me to help you.
I was trying to get,
Yeah, you were trying to.
Where's the location, Dan?
Yeah.
I thought you told me the location.
Wouldn't fall for it.
Cotton Bowl. What did you say? The Cotton Bowl? The
Cotton Bowl.
Independence Bowl.
Citrus Bowl. And the Independence Bowl.
I'll say Independence Bowl. Final answer.
All right.
I don't know. Total guess.
All right, let's go through these. Let's start off with question number 1. What number did Marshall Faulk wear for the entirety of his NFL career? Aaron, without the options, you said 28. Anthony, you said 28 without the options. The correct answer is
28.
All right, so we're all knotted up at 2s. Question number 2. Who was the last team that beat the Steelers in the playoffs back in the 2021 postseason? Aaron, you said the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
Anthony, you said the Kansas City Chiefs. Correct answer is
The Kansas City Chiefs.
But Anthony didn't need the options. 4-3 in favor of Stalter.
Wow. Oh, man, oh, man.
Question number 3. Which quarterback has the most wins in Steelers franchise history? Aaron, you said Big Ben. Anthony, you said Big Ben. Correct answer is
Ben Roethlisberger.
But neither of you needed the option.
Marsh.
Wow.
6-5.
Wow.
Heading into the final question.
This is something else.
Now I'm nervous.
You should be.
The last time Mizzou won their bowl game, they beat Minnesota 33-17. Name that bowl game. Aaron, you took the options. You said the Citrus Bowl. Anthony, you took the options and said the Independence Bowl. If it's the Independence Bowl or the Cotton Bowl, Anthony is a winner. If it is the Citrus Bowl, we go to a walk-off.
Come on, Outback Bowl.
The correct answer is
Citrus Bowl.
Walk it off.
we have a walk-off here in the final round of this first round, the final matchup of this first round
I'm
in the
nervous.
Gauntlet.
I hate these, Dan.
I know, buddy. Hang in there.
So
you're doing great. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Here's the tiebreaker.
Good job, Aaron.
Anthony, you're going to write your answer down.
Yeah.
And then right when Anthony's done writing his answer down, Aaron, we're going to need your answer.
I am never close on these, Dan. I am just terrible with these.
Just hang tough.
I don't know if I
can do
can.
it.
I don't know if I can.
Here's the question. How many wins does Eli Drinkwitz have as the head coach at Mizzou?
Oh, boy.
Holy crap.
Let me think here.
Watch your language, please.
Oh, sorry. What? Do I go first?
Anthony's going first. We need to see an answer here. With the shot clock.
I'm panicked.
Okay. What is your answer, Aaron?
33.
We have a winner. Aaron.
You have chosen wisely.
Nice job, man. Nice job.
The correct answer is Dan.
25.
25, that's it?
25.
I said 39. That's not even close. Nice job, Aaron.
Thank you. Slam-a-lama ding-dong.
Slam-a-lama-ding-dong. That's right. Nice work.
Boy, that was intense.
That was intense.
Came down to the final walk-off answer.
It certainly did. Aaron, congrats. You've survived and advanced, so you'll take on either Marsh or Jamie in the second round, but you got some time to celebrate. Happy Thanksgiving, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Appreciate
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving,
Thanks,
Aaron.
Thank you.
Why couldn't it have been the Outback Bowl?
You did say the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Is that the Independence Bowl? What is the Buffalo Wild Wings one?
I could have sworn
the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl.
Yeah. I could have sworn they played in the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl. Let's check the history on that.
Okay.
The Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl. History.
What do you got?
Let's see here, Dan.
Okay.
History of the Wild Wings Bowl. Okay, in 2013, Kansas State over Michigan. Apparently, that was the last installment or last time this website updated itself. Iowa beat Missouri in 2010 in the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl.
Okay.
And by the way, this was the last time the Tigers had won a bowl game, not the last bowl game they were a part of.
Either way, I would have gotten it wrong.
The Citrus Bowl was in 2015 that they beat Minnesota.
Whew.
Okay.
Aaron needed it. He got it. And then he beat me in the tiebreaker. Well
It
done,
happens,
Aaron.
buddy.
It does. It absolutely does.
I don't want this to bring you down for the rest of the show either.
I'm leaving.
Don't you
I'm
dare.
out.
Nope.
All right, well, let's crush the Cardinals next then, because clearly this is the only move they're going to make. That's next on 101 ESPN. It's the Fast Lane on 101 at ESPN. Dan McLaughlin, Andrew Marsh, Anthony Stalter. The Phillies are reportedly, after already re-upping with Aaron Nola for 7 years and $175 million or $72 million, whatever it was, they're reportedly still in on Yamamoto, Dan. So they're saying, yeah, we'll bring back Aaron Nola, but we're going to lose Zach Wheeler in a year from now, potentially. Why don't we go ahead and just bring in Yamamoto right now and keep this thing going? This is already after bringing in Bryce Harper for an ungodly amount of money. Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner last year.
Did you mention Harper?
I mentioned Harper.
Did you mention him? He's got a lot of money going to him.
He certainly does.
I know you mentioned him.
It's pretty, credit the Phillies.
Trey Turner.
For bringing.
Did you mention him too?
I did.
Okay.
Who did I miss, I guess, at
Real
this point?
Muto, did you talk about him?
I did not talk about Real Muto.
He's made a lot of money.
Castellanos.
Yeah, did you mention his $100 million?
Nope.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
They're still in on Yamamoto.
Wow.
So I guess as we bring it back to the Cardinals, the Phillies are playing a game that the Cardinals will never be able to play. Understand that I'm not saying the Cardinals can't spend more money or invest more money on the product that you watch and that you love. I am not saying that. If you're hearing that, that's on you. What I'm saying is they're not and never will be in the same category of spending as the Phillies. You will never see that here. I don't know if it's completely wise to do it anyways, but it doesn't matter. It's moot. You will not see the Cardinals be in that tier.
I think the question would be, who is in that tier?
It's the Phillies. It's the Yankees when they want to.
Yeah.
The Dodgers when they want to.
The Cubs.
The Cubs if they want to. The Padres did it, and they're going to pay for it.
Yep.
I mean, bad. The Padres may go away for a long time.
They're going to have to dump a lot of those salaries.
So, Dan, the other question is, if we know that they're not going to be able to swim in those waters, what is the pivot? Not just for this offseason, but in terms of building a roster.
A little bit maybe like what the Blues have done. Instead of a complete rebuild, it's just retool. And I do think that they feel if they address the pitching, and they started today with Lance Lynn. Again, they're not going to start and stop there. That they'll have a chance to be competitive next year. I truly believe that. I go back to and I know fans tune in and out of the show. I go back to the narrative. The narrative is that he was the first chip, and this is what they're going to do. If you had signed one or two and then added him, narrative is much different than what we're talking about right now. I tend to agree with you. I don't think they're going to swim in the waters of the Yamamotos. I don't think that they were interested in Nola, to be honest with you. I don't think that interests them. Put it this way, I think they'd have a lot more interest in Yamamoto at the age of 25 than a guy like Aaron Nola, who on the back year of 7 or 8 year deals is not going to look pretty. I just don't think that's their philosophy, and that's kind of where you're going. Could they be in this philosophy ever? I don't think that's their philosophy. Their philosophy is let's draft, develop, keep the players that we have, and if they're good enough to stick around in our way that we evaluate talent, we'll spend the money to keep them. They've done that before. I just don't think that they're going to get in those waters, though, that you're talking about in spending that kind of money. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I understand you want it that way. I do. I understand that they can spend more, and they probably should. But this is monopoly time for the Phillies. I mean, if they do sign, even if they don't sign Yamamoto, this is still monopoly money.
Yeah.
But if they do, they bring him in. I mean, you're playing a completely different game.
And then who would you think that could compete in the National League with that team?
On paper, nobody. If the Braves bring in another stud.
What about Sonny Gray? What if there's been reports that the Braves are interested in Sonny Gray? I still like the Braves. I love their lineup.
I do too, but I don't love their pitching staff compared to what the Phillies could offer.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that they need to look at upgrading the staff a little bit. It was interesting. They non-tendered Mike Soroka, and he had been injured the last couple of years. Boy, they just gave up on him and just said, the heck with it.
Yeah.
A few years ago, he was their best guy.
Yep.
So to your point that they need help in that regard, and certainly trying to bolster their rotation and saying, look, if we're going to compete and be with the Phillies and stay eye to eye with them, our best way to do this is to add one more arm. Yeah. And I would agree with that.
Dan, you and I've had this conversation before. I think one of the out of the box things that they'll never do it. But one of the out of the box things that I think the Cardinals, it would be interesting to see is if they just completely went with all pitchers in the draft. I mean, just hammered the draft with
Wouldn't
pitching.
you love to see that?
I would.
I mean, just
just a shotgun approach, all pitching.
And you're going to catch lightning in a bottle.
Yes.
At some point, you're going to get some guy that's low end in the draft, and all of a sudden, all the talent evaluators were wrong with him, or he develops a different pitch, or you get him under your umbrella, and you teach him some things that he doesn't know about, and all of a sudden, he becomes Zach Gallen. I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
You know, it's just trying to find diamonds in the rough and saying, the hell with it, we're just going to go all pitching, and that's our mindset. They have done that before, not where they just took all pitchers, but made an emphasis on, okay, at this point in the draft, we're going college pitching. At this point in the draft, we're going high school pitching. At this point in the draft, a few years later, it was young position players and trying to find guys that could help them.
Yeah.
Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker, some of the others that they've had. I just think, though, it's like we were talking about earlier, you cannot have enough pitching. Mm-mm. You just can't. I mean, that's why I found the Hudson thing was a little curious to me. We haven't really talked about the guys that they non-tendered. Juan Yepes, we mentioned him earlier, but Hudson, to me, never bounced back from Tommy John, and never, for a guy that didn't throw enough strikes, certainly, but for a guy that was a ground ball pitcher, the shift, I think, really has affected certain pitchers.
Yeah.
Because you just can't design the defense to play into the hands of the pitcher. You can try as much as you want, but it limits what you can do defensively. And when you don't have swing and miss stuff, you're finding out that some of these guys stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's what they felt like with Hudson. The one thing about Hudson, he gave you a little protection. I don't know what they would have had to pay him this year. He was starting to get up there a little bit, but somebody will take a flyer on him.
Sure.
No doubt. I mean, because you need pitching.
I think at best he's a fifth guy for you. I don't know if he's a fifth guy for you on a competitive team. I think he's fine.
Yes,
I think you can replace him within your organization based on what you did at the trade deadline last year and some of the other guys that you have in house.
Yeah,
that's Dan McLaughlin. I'm Anthony Stalter. It's Fastline on 101 at ESPN. College football, the playoff picture starting to come into focus a little bit more. We'll dive into some of the other storylines and maybe talk a little Mizzou again after we broke down their exciting win over Florida on Saturday night. College football next on 101 ESPN. If you need a new car or you're in the market for a pre-owned vehicle, Auto Centers Nissan out in Herculaneum, that's got to be your spot. That's where we went in the Stalter household. We love our Pathfinders, and we love the way they drive. We love the third row. We love that we got it from Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum because they've got great deals. They got great pricing. They've got great financing options. In fact, they've got unbelievable financing options. Certainly couldn't come at a better time with the rates the way they are right now, but their finance team will work very diligently to make sure that you will find the vehicle that you like and you have a way to pay for it. No money down, no payments for 90 days, 0% APR for up to 5 years. These are some of the options that Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum has right now on their over 700 vehicles in stock. And when I say in stock, I mean all at one location, out in Herculaneum. So you could start at AutoCentersNissan.com. Check out some of the things that you like about certain features, go test drive, and then let them set up the financing for you. Let them set you up with some of the other features that they offer. Plus, you can enter to win a brand new Polaris ATV and grab a hot dog just for stopping by. No purchase necessary. It's all available at Auto Centers Nissan Herculaneum. Tell them Stalter sent you.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Lance Lynn has signed with your St. Louis Cardinals. 1 year, $10 million, up to $3 million in performance bonuses. That's according to Jeff Passan. We've talked multiple times about Lance Lynn and the free agent market. If you missed that, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. The Blues picked up a victory last night over the Anaheim Ducks, 3-1. They'll be back in action on Wednesday, going up against the Arizona Coyotes. Pregame starts at 7. Puck drop is at 8, and you can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Tonight on 101, we'll have Monday Night Football as the Chiefs host the Eagles, a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. Pregame for that one starts at 6:30. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
What an incredible victory for Mizzou on Saturday night against Florida. They're trailing late. Florida's running back, ETN, helps them out big time by running out of bounds and preserving time for them. I mean,
that's hard to believe.
It's a mistake. It's a huge mistake. No, he's a kid, Marsh. It's not his fault. He's not properly coached. It's not his fault. Yep. I knew we were going to go there. I'm glad you cut that off. Yeah. No need to do that movie line at this juncture.
No.
So he goes out of bounds. ETN goes out of bounds. Thank you. Preserves time.
We are on delay, though, right?
Yeah.
Are we on delay?
Yeah.
Just in case Marshy decides to go off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. We found that out last week when...
I'm not on the gauntlet now.
Yes.
Come on.
Oh. Our gauntlet
I was
contestant
listening when that happened.
decided to drop the F-bomb.
We had Aaron on, said crap. And Dan goes, hey, watch your mouth.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Watch your mouth. Watch
your
that
mouth,
language.
Anyways,
anyway, go right ahead.
I'm sure a lot of Mizzou fans were shouting at their TV when Mizzou looked like they were going to win, and then they were shouting in joy some expletives when they won. But what a victory. If they lose that game, now all of a sudden you're in a bowl that would still be an honor to play in, but you're not talking about a New Year's Day bowl game, a New Year's Six bowl. You're going to wax Arkansas. I don't see this being some sort of rough, game in Fayetteville this weekend.
Do you think it could be a trap game, though?
So that's a great question, Dan, and I'm going to say no with conviction because of what we've seen out of Mizzou.
Yeah, I
maybe in another season I say, yup, they may Mizzou this thing. Not this year.
I'm like holding.
So you're still holding on to that.
I've got reservations.
That's a great window into your thoughts on Mizzou.
I've just been Mizzou'd too many times.
I hear you.
In basketball, football, something happens.
Well, Mizzou basketball, they just beat Jackson State.
Yeah, they did.
Like I was thinking yesterday at the so I was at the
They're gonna be fine.
Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, and going in was Tony Van Zandt. Do you guys know Tony Van Zandt was incredible? He was the National Player of the Year coming out of St. Louis in high school football. He was unbelievable how good he was. And he went there and had a knee injury. And I was like, God, what could that guy have done? And, he mentioned in his speech yesterday, he said, I'm sorry to the Mizzou faithful for what happened to me. And I felt my heart dropped when I heard that. Hearing him talk about that. It's like, man, it wasn't your fault.
Your fault. You got hurt.
You elected to stay at your state school and people were excited about it. But that kind of stuff seems to happen to Mizzou. And that's why I've got my reservations about this. I'm just hear me out.
Dan, you and I have seen Arkansas. You and I have seen Arkansas play.
They're not very good.
They're not very good at all.
And Missouri's pretty good.
Do you know that Auburn team that just lost to New Mexico State over the weekend?
They beat Arkansas.
They were up 21-0 on Arkansas, I think, in the first 6 minutes.
Yes. All right, now I feel better.
You're going to be fine.
Okay.
Missouri's going to be fine.
Help me out here.
Going to be fine.
I'm going to come over to your house for Thanksgiving to calm me down.
Absolutely. You're more than welcome, Dan.
And Marshy has to come because Marshy was invited to my house.
That's fine. You guys can all come over for Thanksgiving. My mother-in-law does a great spread. She'll be more than happy to throw some extra food in there.
Are we going to your place or are we going to Dan's place? Or are we going to both? Is this a dual family thing or what's going on
Dan's
here?
coming over to my house now after he invited you to his house, so he feels bad. So now, Marsh, you're going to come over too.
Gotcha.
Everything will be good. Everything's also good right now for Washington. I was wrong. I said all last week, Washington, this was going to be the week that they would lose. In Corvallis, rainy weather, set up perfectly. And for the first half, Washington was outstanding. In the second half, they didn't score a single point. Oregon State controlled the clock. They looked good. I don't know what they were doing on that last drive, Dan.
I know. I'm with you on that, too.
They picked up one. They were backed. For those that didn't see it, they were backed up. Oregon State was backed up with about 5 or 6 minutes to go. They were down by 2. All you need to do, drive in the field goal range, kick the potential game winner, attempt the game winner. They're backed up. They got 1 first down to get them away from the end zone, and then they slowed their tempo way down to the point where they gave themselves no shot if they needed to punt or if they failed on 4th down, which is exactly what happened, and they lose by 2.
And then on the flip side, Washington gets the ball back, and they need 1 first down to close the game out. They got a 3rd and long, and Michael Penix throws it to the back shoulder, and they get the first down to win it. I mean, they went for broke, right? They could have pinned him back. They could have said, all right, we'll leave this up to our defense. We're going to try to run it up the middle, which probably would have gotten stopped. And they go with man-to-man coverage and throw it to the back shoulder and get it. By the way, what is it like for you guys watching a lefty throw the football? It's beautiful. It's like a swinging baseball. But watching Michael Penix.
Why is that?
He is throwing, to me, it seems like he's throwing just darts out there.
Why are left-handers?
I don't know, man.
They have the best swings. They have, Vic used to throw an absolute seed.
Yes. And Michael Penix, to me, it looks like he's throwing it 50 miles an hour faster than anybody. I know that's not the case.
Right. But it just feels that way.
It does. It feels that way. It looks that way. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's tight spiral. I don't know, man. It's just different.
I wish I was a lefty.
I do, too. You'd be making a lot more money than this.
You would think. Of course, I'd have to have talent, too.
I wonder with baseball if it's because most pitchers are throwing right-handed. So we just,
of course,
I think it's like an aesthetic. It's an aesthetically pleasing swing. Like if you put a righty up there, obviously it's not the same. But does a lefty swing look the same against the left-handed pitcher?
Well, you see so many that are right-handed for sure.
Exactly.
And just a lefty just looks different. It's just kind of out of sorts, man. It's just I don't know, man. Right now he'd have my Heisman vote.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that said Tua had a weird way of throwing the football. I saw on X or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, a reversed video of Tua throwing the football. And we think, oh, wow, he looks kind of goofy looking. It looked exactly like a right-handed
That's
thrower.
the thing. You got to flip them all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
If you flip it, it looks normal. It's just, I don't know what it is.
Dylan Gabriel's another one from Oklahoma.
Yeah. Boy, Oklahoma is a weird team.
Yeah, I thought they were better than they are.
I thought they were worse than what everybody thought they were, and then they beat Texas. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got to give them their credit, their due. And then they lose to Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
and they're fine. They're okay. They're kind of what I thought they were going to be this year.
The loss to Kansas kind of was a stinger.
I'll tell you what, Kansas put quite a show, quite a performance against Kansas State. I know they lost.
Yep.
But Kansas was down to Neal. I think he's their 3rd string quarterback.
He's the one that beat Oklahoma.
What a job that Lance Leopold has done.
Yep.
At Kansas.
Yep. Mark Mangino got it going.
Yeah, and then there was this long decade of, I'm not talking about bad football. I'm talking about you should be a D2 program.
Wasn't Charlie Weiss there at one point? Who was the old LSU coach?
Les Miles.
Les Miles was there.
Awful football.
Yes, terrible.
And now they're competitive and kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, they move the ball. They're offensively good. They played, I think they beat Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State.
Yes, they did. They beat, let's see, they've got some big wins. They beat.
At least I think they helped out my friends.
No, they beat Oklahoma. Yeah, they might have helped out your friends again at Oklahoma State. They roughed up UCF, who beat Oklahoma State.
Yep.
They beat Iowa State on the road.
It's a tough win. That's a tough place to play. I mean, Texas showed that this weekend. They squeaked out of there with a win.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yep. They beat BYU.
There you go.
They beat Illinois. So not big wins. I shouldn't say big wins, but for
good
that
wins,
program,
solid wins.
Yeah. And then the big one, obviously, was against Oklahoma. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. All right, we didn't do our NFL 4 downs. We'll do that next in the Fastlane on 101 ESPN. You know, I keep saying my MAC, but I should say our MAC because my guy Dan McLaughlin, he's down there all the time too. I see him working out. He'll work out for a couple of minutes and he'll go into the steam, which is a great spot. But the Missouri Athletic Club, it is a great spot. The club members are always fantastic to talk to. You meet new people all the time. I get my workout in there. I've done my prep work for the show at the Missouri Athletic Club. They've got just excellent places to eat, whether it's breakfast or lunch or maybe a date night, getting something there that is cooked to perfection or just picking something up on the way home. Missouri Athletic Club is a perfect spot for many reasons. And that's my MAC. Oh, wait, no, it's our MAC, Missouri Athletic Club. Time for the NFL 4 Downs here on 101 ESPN with Dan McLaughlin and Anthony Stalter. Here's Andrew Marsh.
First down.
All right, gentlemen. Are the Broncos a legit wild card contender now?
I hear the disgust in young Marshy's voice because the
You
Broncos.
just had to curse him, Anthony.
I did. Boy, did I. Dan.
Yes.
Did you know you're a big numbers guy?
I am.
You're a big trends guy.
For sure.
Did you know that when I do the Stalter stack up where I do the top 10 in the NFL per week, right? Every week. The team that I slot number 10 has lost every time.
Is it really?
Every time.
And who did you have number 10 last week?
Marshy's Minnesota Vikings.
And?
They lost.
Yes, sir.
Lost. 2 weeks ago, I had the Bills at number 10. And they lost.
Yes, they did.
To the Broncos.
So who is listening right now in the NFL that does not want to be number 10 going into this week?
Well,
have you thought about it yet?
I think I'm going to go right back to the Vikings.
Are you serious?
Probably.
That's Bush League. That's absolute Bush League.
I got to do what I got to do, Marsh. I don't want to eat a million waffles at the end of the season.
That is absolute Bush
Are
League.
Are you kidding me?
I
got to do what I got to do.
No, that is ridiculous.
You can't stop Denver on a 10-play, 75-yard drive.
Thank you.
Exactly. They don't deserve to be number 10.
You got to stop them.
I completely agree.
So
not a top 10 team. Not a top 10
team. Shouldn't be a top 10. Okay.
That's fair. The Saints, then. Saints
right.
are looking up. I'll have them at number 10.
There you go, because if they lose, your team can make it to the playoffs.
I'm kind of sold right now on Denver.
And they're playing the Falcons.
Are they playing the Falcons?
Yeah. But it won't help.
See, way to build yourself up without breaking me down. I really appreciate that.
What are you doing right now?
I'm trying to go all out for my team. I'm trying to help them out.
We'll see.
They already have problems. They're playing Alexander Madison too much.
When do we do the Stalter stack up? Wednesdays?
Usually.
Okay.
It is a short week though. Maybe we'll get rid of it.
I'm sold on Denver. Boys, you better get on that Denver bandwagon.
I love Sean Payton.
He can coach, man.
Movies.
And his movies.
I mean, what he's done here in the last month, it's remarkable. They've won 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They've been the Chiefs, Bills, and Vikings. They're now in the AFC playoff picture.
Mm-hmm.
The defense, though, I give him credit for this. They've allowed you 17 points per game during this winning streak.
Wow.
And that says something. That's coaching to me.
Yep.
That's scheme, that's understanding with the opposition, putting your guys' best position to make plays, all the cliches, but man, is it true.
And Russell Wilson has good numbers. The problem was he wasn't winning games before.
Yep.
He's winning games.
He's winning games.
I mean, the red zone offense for Denver was terrible last night. Or Minnesota's red zone defense was great, depending on how you look at it. But when he absolutely needed one, he made the big touchdown throw.
And I thought you'd go Denver at 10.
No. It's about who I want to see lose.
This is ridiculous.
What, Marshy?
You're basically shaping the 2023 NFL season.
I am not. Listen.
With Marshy on this,
I feel that
Marshy's 100% right.
If the Vikings, in my heart and in my mind and in my NFL watchingness vision, are 10, I'm going to put them 10.
Okay.
You know?
You got to go with you, is what you got to say.
Exactly.
I'm going with me, baby.
Dan, thank you.
You're welcome.
By the way, we got a message from our YouTube friends, the Air Lions team YouTube chat.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Droid FX. The Broncos are being more successful than the Cards and Blues. And then James says, that's so sad, but true.
We'll see. We'll see on the Blues.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Let's not crown them yet.
Second down.
Second down, please.
Is Brandon Staley officially out of excuses?
He absolutely is. He should be done. He should be done. Talking to the reporters about, you don't have to answer. You don't have to ask me that question anymore. I'm going to call the plays. I was like, okay, go for it, man.
Doesn't help when Joey Bosa goes out with a foot injury
that
too.
Hurts. Yeah, that hurts certainly. They weren't. I mentioned this before, Dan. They weren't prepared. They weren't prepared. Everybody talks about the field at Lambeau and when it gets cold and how you have to wear a certain cleat. and you saw the Chargers slipping all yesterday. Eckler slipping. That is a coaching thing.
Yeah.
You talk about Belichick does this, that, and the other thing. So Belichick would have never allowed his players to go out like that. And no, it's not. It wasn't a defense yesterday. It was a team effort, like Staley said. At the same time, you are losing close games over and over and over again. They have got to find somebody else.
Green Bay, 3rd and 20 at their own 15, trailing by 4, and you don't win the game. I mean, it comes down to stuff like that, too.
100%.
They've been in tight games, tight situations, and all of a sudden you don't make the plays to get to the 4th down, force something.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Get them out.
3rd down,
Question
please.
number 3.
That's another segment. Yeah, now 3rd down.
There we go. Don't worry, Dan. We'll get to the sports six-pack at some point.
5:30.
Yeah.
So, 3rd down. Did the Lions and Dolphins have more warts than we think after close wins on Sunday?
I think the Lions were a one-off. You know, I don't think there was anything like scheme-wise. They just turned the ball over 4 times. Jared Goff was trying to give the Bears an early Christmas present. 4 turnovers. That's the only reason why the Bears were in it yesterday. So I don't think the Lions necessarily, I look at them and they've got warts. I thought the Raiders played the Dolphins extremely tight. And if you look at this Dolphins offense, I do think they've hit a bit of a soft spot in their schedule now. Not a soft spot, I shouldn't say that. I think that every offense goes through this where you start to get a little out of whack. They thought Devon Achane was going to be back. They got hurt again yesterday. They scored 14 against a very good Kansas City defense, and then they only scored 20 against Oakland at home, or Vegas at home, yesterday. So I think the Dolphins offense, it's time to make some adjustments, but Mike McDaniel will. But their defense has been very good of late.
How awesome, by the way, is Tyreek Hill? He's still on pace for 2,000 receiving yards. Never been done before, but 2,000 receiving yards. It's unbelievable.
People ask, like, if Tua is an MVP candidate, I can't give Tua the MVP with Tyreek Hill on that team.
It's funny. I've been thinking that, too.
I just can't.
He's an unbelievable player. Mm-hmm. Anytime he touches the ball, he can take it.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch, too. He's a great character.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
I'd be walking the MVP trophy over to Tua, and then I just turn slightly and give it to Tyreek. Say, you had a great season, Tua.
By the way,
this guy deserves this, though.
Detroit, did you envision 25 points 6 or more times this season? 25 points. They've scored 6 or more. I mean, they are really good, man. They're legitimate.
And when Goff is not turning the ball over like it was yesterday, they'll hang 40 on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
They scored 31. They turned the ball over 4 times yesterday. That's remarkable.
4th down.
We'll make this one quick.
How far can the Browns go with that defense?
They can go very far with that D.
Yep. Now, do you think, though, they might be the best defensive group in the National Football League?
I love Philly's defense. Cleveland's got the best defense in the league.
Now, yesterday, though, do you get thrown a curveball because the Steelers are so bad offensively? Steelers better figure out something offensively.
They do stink to high heaven offensively.
I love the Steelers, and they're terrible on offense.
Kenny Pickett wasn't good yesterday. Matt Canada isn't always doing offensively. It's a mess. And I thought, they're starting to run the ball a little bit better. Then, Cleveland just shut that down.
Yep, it was over.
They're hard to watch. The Steelers are hard to watch.
The Jets are worse. Jets on offense is harder to watch.
I don't know where you guys are. I'm to the point now. Did you see Zach Wilson fall?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was great.
Yep.
You say that. I feel bad for that kid now. Like, could you imagine? You're a high pick. You're supposed to be the guy, all this stuff. Rodgers comes in. You're starting to mature a little bit. Then you're thrust back into it. Everybody wants to blame you for everything. Then you show some maturity in that Chiefs loss. Guys start to rally around you a little bit, but you're not good enough. That's just the bottom line. You're not good enough. And then you're on the road. You fall like that. You fall going out.
It begs the question, is he buried like the rest of his career? Do you get out of a hole that he's in right now, or is he just not good enough, period?
I don't think he's good enough, period. He'll get another shot someplace else. He'll be a backup, before he gets bounced out. But it's unfortunate. I liked him coming out of BYU.
You loved him.
I was wrong, Dan.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
You sound like Tim McCarr. I was dead wrong.
I was dead wrong, Dan. All right. What's trending is next on Fastlane on 101 ESPN.
What's trending in the world of sports? The Fast Lane has you covered. What's trending now?
Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate to Goodwill to win a magical Polar Express staycation.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Anthony Stalter, Dan McLaughlin, I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Guys, the big news of the day is Lance Lynn becoming a Cardinal for the second time in his career as the Cardinals signed him to a one-year, $10 million deal. Some people are saying it's 11. I saw 10. Jeff Passan throwing it out there.
Up to 13, I believe.
Up to 13 if he performs well, which we all hope he does. But when you saw that come out earlier this morning, What were your initial thoughts about how the Cardinals are game planning this offseason?
Dan, what were yours? What's like if you just had one overarching takeaway from the Lance Lynn signing, what would it be?
Innings and a rusty nail.
Yeah.
So let's get back to a little toughness inside that clubhouse. In the dugout, mentor was another thing I thought about, but innings. Need a lot of them. And the other thing I thought about, I know I'm giving you a bunch here, but the other thing I thought about was that they clearly saw something in what he did last year, and they think they can fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many times, Anthony, that teams are probably looking at the Cardinals and their guys and saying, boy, they're just missing this. They don't see this. We see this. We can maybe help him get to that level, whatever the case may be.
Certainly.
And that's something I thought about. And then I went back and looked, and I noticed the dip, literally the dip in his pitching. He was more straight with his fastball, didn't have quite the vertical going downward plane.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that's something that they feel they can fix.
I think that's excellent points. I get it. I'm not about to, jump off a bridge here thinking that this is going to be their big signing. It's clearly not. I'm never going to complain about a one-year deal. One-year deals don't hurt you. I'm not saying he's going to work out. He might not. It might be a situation of, Greg Holland. Greg Holland did not work out. Never hurt you. It was a one-year deal.
Yep.
That's it. And they moved on rather quickly, somewhat quickly, and that's it. I think Lance Lynn's going to be fine here. I'm waiting for the big picture to come into play.
That's where I'm at.
And like you said, they're looking for innings, they're looking for strikeouts, and they're looking for a little sandpaper.
Yep.
And they got all of those in Lance Lynn. He did not have a great year last year.
He was awful.
There was a 4 or 5 game stretch where he was really good with the Dodgers after they acquired him, but you saw him in the postseason. It was ugly.
Yep.
He's going to give up home runs. Maybe some of that is suppressed because of Busch Stadium, but they're looking for innings. They're looking for somebody to be a strikeout guy in this rotation, and it's a one-year deal.
I thought, like you said, it's just a piece of the puzzle. I just thought, okay, that's their first piece, and there's more to come, and lots more, and there has to be.
Right.
And if not, it's going to be a tough year.
If it's Lance Lynn, Michael Walker, and then the internal options, I'm going to be pissed. And I think you should be too. But at this point, we really can't judge the big picture because we don't know it yet. It hasn't come all the way into vision.
And here's the thing, it may take a while. I mean, you may see some guys go off the board, and you're like, man, there may be some fans out there that really wanted to see Aaron Nola here in St. Louis, and you're going to see other players. I'm just going to throw it out there. Maybe a Sonny Gray off the board. Yamamoto goes off the board, and you're thinking, well, what are these guys doing? It's a long, long off season. I wait until that first pitch on opening day, and then I say, okay, this is what you look like right now. I want to take a look at it May 1st. I want to take a look at it at the trade deadline, and then see where you're at on the stretch run.
Good call.
We get a text from your pal, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Lance Lynn feels like the Waino deal to me. The question is, do you get 2022 Waino or 2023? I hope he works out like 2022 Waino.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be real nice.
Yeah, let's get 2020. 2023, Waino was a little tough to watch. They squeezed everything out of trying to get to 200 on that baby.
They did, and they did it.
And they did it.
And he had his moment, and he deserved his moment.
Yep.
And, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, let's get to 2022 Waino.
If the Cards are going to shy away from getting a true ace, do you think they need to look at pitchers that have success in the postseason versus regular season? I feel like that's a huge thing that maybe sometimes we don't look at.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or does it matter?
It shouldn't matter, but then you watch like the postseason and some guy just tears it up and you're like, this is postseason numbers. He's always been great in the postseason.
Yeah.
You're like, son of a, we need that. So I
think there's something to it.
It shouldn't matter, but I agree. I think there is something to it.
Yeah, I definitely do. I think sometimes when you look at a regular season guy and then he blows up, what do you say about Clayton Kershaw?
Right.
I mean,
outside of the COVID year,
he's a hell of a regular season pitcher, but did not have success in the postseason.
Something happens in the postseason.
That's right.
And he gets Matt Adams'd.
Yeah,
man, that was a
Matt
great
Carpentered.
He get Matt Carpentered twice. He got Matt. He just got Matt.
He got matted.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Anthony, you mentioned old poor Zach Wilson in the earlier segment before heading into this one, this What's Trending. But What is trending is that Zach Wilson has been benched for a fella named Tim Boyle, who will start Friday against the Dolphins, and Trevor Siemian, former Bronco, and wherever else he played, he has been signed from the practice squad and will be Boyle's backup on Friday.
So Boyle's going to start, huh?
Old Timmy Boyle.
He either went, I feel like he was a Western Michigan Bronco.
I was just going to say he's from the MAC, I believe.
I think he went to Western Michigan.
Would you just outright release him? Zach Wilson?
No.
Not quite yet?
No.
When Aaron Rodgers gets back,
maybe.
He's going to make his at least in practice, a nightmare.
He went to UConn.
That's right.
Tim Boyle's UConn and Eastern Kentucky. I was way off.
That is right. I remember UConn.
What Tim quarterbacked the Western Michigan Broncos? That's my question.
We'll figure it out.
We will, certainly. What did you... No, I'm not going to outright release him. I'm going to do the whole, hey, who wants this guy? Somebody can fix him.
Yeah.
We'll give you a...
You think there's somebody that will do it?
Nope. I think somebody will sign him. I don't think
that's what I mean.
Trade for him. Yeah. Somebody will sign him.
Last thing here, this is interesting. The NHL is looking to put on a 4-nation tournament in 2025. I did bring this up, and Jamie talked a little bit about it a few weeks ago, but the proposed event would feature national teams from the United States, Canada, Sweden, and Finland. So it'd just be 4 teams in this tournament. Do you guys find that interesting? Would you like the idea?
NHL players to play for your representative country.
Just for 4 nations.
In the middle of the season?
I would assume so. I don't know, when it'd be in February of 2025.
I don't know. I love the Olympics, though. The Olympics.
Yeah,
I'd rather have that.
Yeah.
Than some forced tournament.
4 teams. I don't know about you guys, but growing up and playing sports, I hated playing in a tournament with 4 teams.
Yeah, that stinks.
It was like, what's the point here? What's the point here?
Didn't you guys
nailed it? One of your best points you've ever made.
Thank you.
When you watch the Olympics, when it was in Salt Lake City and then it was in Vancouver, those were awesome.
I said Oshie. I meant Sochi.
It was the Oshie Olympics, though. That's when he went off on the shootout.
Yeah,
that was
TJ
awesome.
Sochi.
TJ Sochi. But then when the games are on tape delay with the internet now, you can find what happened when you were sleeping at 4 o'clock in the morning and these guys are playing. Where really, to me, the idea, if you're going to have NHL players playing, you want them to play in prime time. Live. Mm-hmm. And if not, then kind of what's the point? Because you're trying to showcase your sport, trying to showcase your players.
Agreed.
So, I don't know.
If you have a question for Dan or I, or both of us, you can send it into the Air Comfort Service text line at 314-399-9646. We'll have our Sports Six-Pack next.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is refreshed by Maggie O'Brien's, your go-to Irish pub in St. Louis for over 42 years.
Time for the Sports Six-Pack in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Dan McLaughlin. I'm Anthony Stalter. Here is Andrew Marsh with your questions via the Air Comfort Service text line.
Question number 1.
From the 636, is Anthony an NFL scriptwriter?
Well, if you're talking about my Stalter stack up for who I want to curse in a given week, then
That's
yes.
what they're talking about.
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The 10 slot, number 10, has been the death slot. The Vikings last week, and they lost. I had the Bills the week before, and they lost. I had the Houston Texans at number 10 when they lost to the Carolina Panthers, Dan.
Death slot.
Number 10. Death slot.
10, please. Just not for my team.
So, I guess you can start, tweeting or texting the show. Let me know which team you want me to curse this week. And I'll take it under consideration.
Question 2, please.
Question number 2.
From the 314, what does your workout routine look like on a weekly basis? And we know that both of you go to the Missouri Athletic Club. That is our MAC.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Dan, break it down for us.
At our MAC?
Yeah.
Our MAC, the Missouri Athletic Club.
Yeah.
Go ahead and hit the sounder, please.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
See, I wanted to hear again.
I don't know, a couple donuts, and then probably a couple of Cokes and a hot steam.
Just get it all out.
Yeah. Maybe put it in, then get it out, take a shower, get dressed, and head out.
Right.
You?
Mine's a little different. Yeah, I do like the steam. That's for sure.
Well, steam's great.
I usually get the looks when I go in there for like warming up.
Because you're buff.
No,
okay.
not at all. But when I go in, a lot of times I like to go to the steam and just get warm first.
Sure.
And everybody else is in there
post-workout.
Right. And they're like, what the are you doing? But you
gotta loosen up.
I like loosening up.
If you're gonna throw up that much iron, you need to loosen up.
Listen, when you're throwing up about a good 10 to 15 pounds, those dumbbells get heavy. I go typically one body part per day. Yeah. So I usually don't do chest on Mondays because everybody does chest on Monday.
It's a great philosophy.
So I like to go back, then chest.
Well, you look great. I gotta tell
thanks,
you.
Dan. One body part, max them out. Let's go. Different rep ranges, different exercises.
Legs?
Yes, I don't do a full leg workout because I'm a weenie. But
no, don't you dare say that about yourself.
I'll do some deadlifts, which is I think technically a back exercise, not a leg.
I do a lot of back exercises.
You do the one where you hang
and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then do it from each side.
Sure.
Got a bad back and need to do that. Helps me out.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Stretch it out.
Absolutely. And then I have a couple donuts and a couple Cokes and take a steam.
I like the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, back and forth from the couch to the refrigerator, grabbing a beer.
No, you typically, what do you work out at night?
I usually do nighttime, yeah.
I can't do that.
I don't like when anybody's there. You know a good time to go I found is like right in the middle of the day if you can.
Like 10 o'clock is a good time because that's before the lunch crowd, after the early crowd. Yeah.
If you can, obviously. Everybody else has got a full, 9 to 5-er.
Well, I can imagine now that you've said this over the airwaves, there's going to be a lot of people at RMAC tomorrow at around 10 o'clock.
I highly doubt that, Dan. I don't think anybody knows who I am or cares. But I appreciate you saying that.
You need to talk yourself up a little bit. A lot of people know who you are. Get a lot of compliments about you, my man. Lots. And I'm serious. You do a hell of a job on this show.
Dan, thank you, and I appreciate you accepting my text messages, even though they come from different numbers.
Oh, is that you?
That's all me. Yeah.
I thought that was your mom.
Nope.
Okay.
You literally did get a new number, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I'd use other people's phones, and I'll text Dan, hey, what about Anthony? It sounds like you guys sound good together.
Do you guys do show prep in the steam room?
No, not typically. I don't want to bring my cell phone in there. Or
only when I'm spotting you.
Hey, what'd you think of that Lance Lynn signing?
Absolutely. I don't know, Dan. Let me bang out this rep here. Yep.
Loved it.
That's a good call.
Question 3, please.
Question number 3.
Why does free agency in Major League Baseball take so long? Why is it longer than other pro sports? It seems like in other leagues, free agent signings happen within like the first 48 hours, especially the NBA. That one is from the 314.
I'm not sure. My guess would be is that you have a cap league, understanding what you're going to spend and then go after it, where in Major League Baseball non-cap, the market has to set itself first. So then you kind of figure out, okay, this is player X.
Right.
He got, off of Aaron Nola. He's the first domino to fall. Okay, he's getting 25, whatever it is, a year. This is where we projected this guy, Sonny Gray. That means he's going to get X at this age, this many years, this much per year. So I think because of that, the market needs to set itself first in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
I don't like it.
Oh, you wish it was quicker?
I wish it was exciting.
Bing, bing,
a big like it used to be. Where
I think you'll see that though at the winter meetings. It seems like you get tons of activity at the winter meetings, and that because you have a winter meetings, and I think this is another factor. A lot of business is done there, where you set the parameters for like a month. The winter meetings are coming up in December, and then
hammer it out.
Yeah, then the action gets going.
Why do you think, to me, it seems like they want to wait until the prices go down, at least Major League Baseball owners. Obviously, some other owners are willing to spend, much like the Padres, the Phillies, the Rangers, but for the most part, they don't spend all too much. NBA owners, it seems like they're shelling out all this money to guys I've never even heard of. And they're making just a bunch of money. I'm like, where did this guy come from? He doesn't deserve $40 million a year.
Right. TV money is huge, though. NBA TV money is big.
Oh, for sure.
So TV money is going to dictate how much you can pay,
and it's capped. So you kind of you know where you need to be, where you can be,
and that's my point.
What players, slot in. So
Question 4, please.
Question number 4.
From the 636. Actually, this is Robert S. Robert says, why can't we get a good pitching coach like Chris Carpenter?
Well, Chris Carpenter has been asked to come back to the organization multiple times. So a lot of times what happens with these guys that are just out, Matt Holliday, good example, is that they realize, not so sure that I really want to dive back into this, and the commitment of a coach, 9 a.m. till 1 in the morning, and rinse and repeat for 6 months, don't see your family all that much. I've made all the money I can in the world. Why do I want to put myself through this? So that is why Chris Carpenter and some others are not back. A lot of times they want to have the role of being in uniform, maybe for home series, and then go on the road and scout a little bit, but it gives them more flexibility with their time. Jason Isringhausen being a perfect example of that, kind of a dual role of being at home in uniform, maybe out there for BP, visiting with guys that he had in the minor leagues, and then a few times a month maybe goes to Springfield, or he goes to Memphis, or he goes to another place down at Florida and visits with players. Now, I can understand somebody saying, well, you're still traveling. You are, but it's not the commitment that you're expected to have if you're a coach on the Major League staff.
Well said.
Question 5, please.
Question number 5.
This one is from your pal Steve. He's back. Correct me if I'm wrong with this hypothetical. Many would praise the Cardinals if they were to sign Lucas Giolito and trade for Dylan Cease. I would argue that would give him 3 of 5 of a 61 and 101 starting rotation last year. I believe that rotation would have them going backwards, right? What are your thoughts?
I don't think you can go backwards with Dylan Cease.
I don't think you can go backwards from where they were a year ago.
That's very true. That would be very difficult. Yeah, let's start there.
Yeah.
Then you add a bona fide number 1.
Yep.
In Cease. Giolito, who would definitely be a reclamation project. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he was awful with the Angels. He struggled. He was good with the White Sox, but he was awful with the Angels.
That White Sox team was terrible, though.
It was.
I have their entire 3 of their starting pitchers from last season.
No, you're right.
I heard that was such a mess. It may have been the mess of all messes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, it was this is from people I know that were around it a little bit. They just said it was just a mess. unbelievably bad.
And the owner took care of it by letting go of guys that have been in the front office for a long time. So.
Yep.
I would not be disappointed with Dylan Cease and Lucas Giolito.
Yeah.
At all.
I wouldn't either.
Not saying I wouldn't say, oh, World Series now. But I mean, hell, you'd be a hell of a lot closer. Where you are right now, certainly, and where you might be if the Cardinals decide to just get 2 more Tier 3 options.
I mean, just think
agency.
of 1, 2, and 3 last year. If you get 5 more wins from each guy, that puts you at 5 under. You figure then you're squeaking by with some of these guys that dropped to 4 and 5. You would like to think they're going to be better. You know, at that point, if you're hovering around 500, you got a shot. With the wild card, you got a shot.
Yep.
So that's the way I look at it. Question 6, please, or 5.
Question number 6.
Thank you, Marshy.
Whatever, please.
From the 618, what is the best takeout food, and what is your favorite takeout food?
Chinese.
Chinese is outstanding takeout
agree
food.
with that.
Yeah. I like to eat Mexican food at the restaurant.
I agree with that.
Totally agree with that.
When you do the takeout with Mexican, it just doesn't have
doesn't hit the same.
It doesn't hit the same.
You don't get the unlimited amount of chips.
Mr. Unlimited.
Good call there, Marshy.
Burgers are good takeout. Pizza, of course, is solid. But I'll go Chinese number 1.
I like a good burger from Five Guys and Fries.
That is very good. Yep.
Little bacon cheeseburger.
BT bought Marsh and I some Pei Wei last Friday.
Yeah, that was good.
Man, it was outstanding.
So this is your way of saying, hey, Dan, when you fill in, you need to bring us
what's
some food.
your deal? No, not at all. You're doing us a favor by filling in.
Burgers, Dan. Have you been
providing some quality to this program?
I'm trying
which
my
we
best.
appreciate.
Have you guys been to High Point?
Yes. Great
oh my
burger.
gosh, you need to go there.
Where is it?
Unbelievable. I think there's one off Manchester, if I'm not mistaken.
There used to be one down at Enterprise Center.
Oh yeah, you're right.
There's a High Point, I think, in the building.
And I think there's another one by the what is it? Oh goodness, I'm gonna forget the street name.
Oh goodness,
but it's the big giant sign when you're driving on 64. It's like a giant gas station sign for oil sign.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
BP?
No. It's not Shell.
QT?
No, I'm talking about like giant sign. You're driving on 64. You can see it.
Sunoco?
It's maybe the text line can help out.
Phillips 66? I don't know.
I can't think of it right now.
It's okay. It's just fine. I couldn't think of home team last week.
The Amico sign.
Amico is about the only one I didn't mention.
You're going like 40 West and you see the Amico.
Yes.
All right.
Yep,
It's right by McCausland.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Dan.
There's a Chinese restaurant right there that's pretty good. I can't remember the name of it, but it's good. And I like Wan Fu. That's a good place.
I've never been there.
It's really good. It's on Manchester. Maybe if they're listening, they should bring some over.
Very open to trying all new different restaurants,
of course,
around the area. I was talking with Dan earlier today in the office, telling him how I'm just now getting into sushi.
That is some good stuff. It took me a while.
You didn't like sushi at first?
Nope.
Now you do.
I'm sorry. I didn't. I always kind of thought like, no, I wouldn't like that. And the first time I had it, I'm like, and then you start to crave it a little bit.
How about shrimp tempura? Then you can get a fried shrimp in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Love some shrimp.
Yeah.
I do like the shrimp
Oh,
tempura.
yeah.
All right, are we done with our sports?
I think so. I mean, we can just keep talking if you guys want to.
Sure,
or we can move it on to the...
We could do that for another half hour.
Yeah. Whatever you guys want.
Boys, let's get into this Chiefs-Eagles matchup. It's going to be fun tonight.
It is going to be fun.
Who are we going to learn about, though? That's next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Lance Lynn is a Cardinal as the Cards and Lance Lynn agreed to a 1-year, $10 million deal with up to $3 million in performance bonuses. That was according to Jeff Passan. We've talked about the deal all day long. If you missed that, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. The Blues won last night, 3-1 over the Anaheim Ducks. They'll be back in action on Wednesday, taking on the Arizona Coyotes. Pregame starts at 7. Puck drop is at 8. Catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. We'll have a last-minute Blues podcast leading up to Monday Night Football between Kansas City and Philadelphia. Pregame for that one starts at 6:30, so roughly 30 minutes of the last-minute Blues podcast. We are going to talk about that Monday Night Football game coming up next between the Chiefs and the Eagles. Should be a fun one, a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Well, tonight's Super Bowl rematch should be absolutely fantastic. You got Eagles, you got Chiefs. Obviously, the Super Bowl rematch where the Chiefs won 38-35 in a wild one, the third highest scoring Super Bowl in Super Bowl history. This is the 9th Super Bowl rematch from the previous season, first since 2017 when the Patriots and the Falcons played. I don't remember the Patriots and Falcons playing in the Super Bowl, but I'll believe ESPN for coming up with that nugget.
So it was 28-3 in that Super Bowl, and the Falcons were...
No, I don't remember that at all.
They were leading that Super Bowl.
Not one bit do I remember that. Chiefs 4-0 versus the Eagles under Andy Reid. Dan, Dan, the Eagles.
Dan, I think they won in overtime, too.
Hey,
I'm writing it down.
Overtime, I think, in Super Bowl history.
The only overtime.
That was a great player at the goal line.
For sure. Remember that catch that
Julio Jones had? Yeah,
No, not
I
that
do remember.
one.
That was a legit catch. The other one was,
but the other one was really good.
The other one was devil magic, okay? Devil magic. Anyways, Chiefs 4-0 versus the Eagles under Andy Reid. And they've held opponents to 20 or fewer points in all 7 wins this season. I think I'm there with this matchup. I think this is the Eagles and Chiefs tonight might be. I mean, it may be fun. I hope it's fun, but it might be a defensive struggle tonight with the way that these two defenses are playing.
Chiefs are awesome on defense this year.
They have been sensational on defense, and they've struggled offensively. All things considered, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Andy Reid, you have Travis Kelce. They've had a streak of 3 straight games under 300 yards.
Why do you think Kelce is not having a Kelce-type year? I don't want to talk about Taylor Swift.
I think he's hurt.
You think so? Yeah, it's his career low in receptions, yardage, all that stuff. Career low. That's why I'm saying he's going off tonight.
He might. I can see it.
Big stage, coming off of a few days off.
And the Swifties meeting the Kelces, I guess.
Yeah.
So that
I just said I don't want to talk about
motivation enough. Well, he went down to, I don't know, he went somewhere. Saw her in concert, and she had a nice little word for him.
Big hug, big kiss.
Changed the lyrics for him and all that. Sweet? So it's very sweet.
It really was.
He's going to be fired up tonight.
Hey, zip it. Let's stop talking about it.
Okay.
Thank you, Marshy.
Kelce held to 14 receiving yards in Week 9 versus the Dolphins, his lowest game since 2018. Yep. But I think he's banged up. He had the ankle injury early on. He missed the first game because of the ankle or knee injury, and then I think maybe it was the knee, and then he hurt his ankle. But when you don't have your lower half, he's even talked about this. He goes, when you don't have your lower half, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's such an interesting way to look at it. When you're banged up and you can't really run, you can't gain position. Yeah, you still got your hands, but there was a moment in one of the games, I think it was the Jaguars game, where he dropped one where it wasn't an easy catch by any means, but you could tell when he was trying to go up, he just didn't have his legs to him, and that was it. So We saw Joe Burrow banged up, and then all of a sudden he looked completely healthy again in that Arizona game. Maybe tonight's a night where Kelsey looks completely different. But, Dan, I think it's a good observation you made.
Do you think that I read an article today that that this particular writer thought that the tush push should be banned after this year?
Why?
I'm with you. I'm like, it's part of the game. Yeah. They've manipulated a part of the game that works. Mm-hmm. It started with Philadelphia. It obviously works. Everybody, it's a copycat league, mm-hmm. is doing that, and you're getting first downs most of the time. I mean, I bet the success rate is probably 9 out of 10 or something like that. I read.
Sure.
I don't think you should outlaw it. I think it's part of the game, which makes me think that if you're Kansas City, you've got to make sure that you've got them third and long, not long, but third and 2, third and 3 as much as you can.
Dan, I think it's an excellent point. Why do we eliminate creativity sometimes in sports? Because you watch a ton of college football, you watch a ton of NFL. Are you seeing some of the creativity that's coming out of that formation? I mean, we're seeing end arounds now. We're seeing not draws, but screen passes, jet sweeps.
I saw the Tebow pass out of it the other day.
Yeah. So why would we eliminate some of the creativity? Offense, by the way, is down in the NFL badly.
Yep.
I don't think it should be eliminated just because it's impossible to do it against Jalen Hurts. You're right. Get them in 3rd and 8, and you don't have to worry about it.
Casey,
easier said than done. But
-2.5. Who do you like tonight?
I like the Chiefs.
I do too.
Andy Reid off a bye.
Oh, is he awesome?
21-3.
Awesome.
21-3. It's an .875 winning percentage in regular season when coming off a bye. They've won 5 straight coming off a bye.
I also think at this point in the year, with guys there is not one player that'll step on that field that says, man, I feel great. Right. Not one. This time of year, probably after the second day of training camp, everybody's got something going on. And at this time of year, getting the bye and getting a few extra days, It's kind of like when you're watching the Thursday night games.
Yeah.
Thursday night games get ugly. Guys aren't fully healed. Coming off a Sunday, most of the time it's just walkthroughs because guys are so banged up.
These guys go through car wrecks every Sunday. And then it's like turn around and play 4 days later.
Yeah. They're sloppy.
I love that there's Thursday night football. I do too. Because after you get to Monday, you get Tuesday and Wednesday, you're itching for it again, right?
You get the MAC on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
You do get MAC action.
I told my friends about you can get some MAC action if you wanted that. And my friends have taken part in that.
I'm sure Bowling Green's playing tomorrow night. You get
Toledo,
Ohio. Toledo's a good team.
Northern Illinois.
Central Michigan, of course.
A little MAC in the morning, a little MAC at night.
That's right. That's right.
It's our MAC on Tuesday and Wednesday night.
There's got to be some sort of promotion. Dan, you're right, though, about guys being banged up. I don't think, you asked me about Travis Kelce. I don't think Jalen Hurts is 100%. I don't think he's anywhere close to it. I think that guy is absolutely gutting it out right now. I think he's been a warrior. He's played great, but he's not right. Like, he's not 100%.
You got to keep him in the pocket, though. One way or another, you got to make him stay within the tackles.
Dan, not that he can't, but you got to make him play quarterback.
Yep, that's my point.
You got to make him play quarterback. You got to make him try to play in rhythm. Chris Jones is a true difference maker. That defense has been great for Kansas City. I can't wait for this matchup tonight.
Did you see KC being this good defensively? I did not.
No.
I did not. I thought they'd be okay. And then when they signed Jones back, and I thought, okay, that's going to be a factor.
Yep.
But not to this level.
Their young secondary has come together.
Yes, it has.
They've got a bunch of guys that are very young, and then Tyrann Mathieu. But Steve Spagnuolo, of course, the former Rams coach, has done a remarkable job of reinventing his defense nearly every year. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. When you have so much tied up in Mahomes and Kelce and now Chris Jones, you don't have a ton to spread out your cap space on defense. So you're asking Spags to work with a lot of second rounders, third rounders, and he's done just a tremendous job.
Yeah, I in watching that first half against Miami on a neutral field, I thought, okay, this guy is something else, man, scheme-wise, defensively, and they're legitimate, and they are good.
Yes, they are.
It's not just Mahomes, Kelce, and others on offense. This defense is setting the tone.
So you and I got KC. Marsh, you got the Eagles tonight, right?
I do have the Eagles. Yeah, I don't believe Jason Kelce has ever beaten his brother, so I think tonight could be the night.
At anything in life.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
No,
but
I read it somewhere.
Really?
Yeah. Their podcast is tremendous.
Do you listen to it?
I don't listen start to finish. A lot of times when I'm on social media, I'll see a clip or whatever. I should probably listen to the whole thing because anytime I see the clips, I think those guys are hilarious.
Do they just do football, or is it like pop culture and a little everything?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Obviously, they focus on football, but there is two in particular stories that I have just laughed my you-know-what off at. And I think we watched one a few weeks ago.
The coaches one?
With the coaches one.
You showed us that.
That one is so funny. And then the one where...
They asked Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Jason Kelce asked Travis Kelce to name all the coaches in the NFL based, and the photo wasn't great, so I don't blame Travis that much. But name as many head coaches in the league as he could, and he goes, "I'm going to be terrible at this," and he was.
He was
funny about it.
He couldn't do it.
He looked at somebody. He goes, "I have no idea who that is."
Oh, they were giving him pictures too.
They gave him pictures.
It wasn't just like off the top of his head, start naming guys.
It was like the NFL. You know how teams do their team photos? Yeah. It was the NFL coaches photo. They're all like sitting there. So it's not like a head. I almost said mugshot. A headshot. It was them sitting down. So again, it was kind of tough, but he did terrible with it.
These guys will be on television the minute that their careers are over.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Kelsey's going to be able to write his ticket to do a pregame show, to do a...
Travis?
Manning cast. I mean, whatever he wants, he's going to be able to do that.
They both could do a Manning cast, and that would be unbelievable. Yes. But there was another story, the Doug Peterson story with the rookie in camp. Have you heard that one?
No.
I'll show it to you in break. And for those that are listening, look it up. Jason Kelce tells a story about how usually they have to do like a rookie talent show or something like that. And one of the rookies told a joke about Doug Peterson, who was the coach at the time, and it was hilarious. And everyone in the locker room went nuts.
Love it.
Did he get cut? Like
I don't know.
Yeah, it's easier to do when they're cut.
When you listen to it,
see me in my office.
When you listen to it, there's a good chance maybe he did, but if you're Doug Peterson, you got to laugh that one off. So highly recommend looking it up. It's funny.
It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. We'll wrap up the show next. If you missed anything from today's show, you can always download our podcast, available at 101ESPN.com, your 101 ESPN mobile app. All brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Dan McLaughlin filled in. This was a fast show, Dan. Had a lot of fun with you today, man.
Great fun. I always love being with you, love being with Marshy, and I truly mean that. You guys make it a lot of fun.
You're the best.
Thank you, Dan.
You are. You're the best, man. Great stories again from Dan. Great conversations. We talked about Mizzou. Talked a little Blues. Not as much as I thought we'd do today, but when the Cardinals signed Lance Lynn, you got to get into it. You got to break it down, Dan.
You got to break it down. We did break it down ad nauseum, I would say.
Ad nauseum, absolutely. NFL action from
we were
yesterday.
the first to really break it down on this station, too. No one really talked about it.
Nobody really talked about it.
Let's break it down now here.
Every show broke it down, certainly, because we know you love to... You love your Cardinals, and you also love to be angry at your Cardinals.
Oh, and I've got hot takes.
Yeah, specifically.
I need to have my hot takes heard.
Yeah, darn right you do.
Hot takes. Hot taking, hot caking.
That's right.
What is better,
what it is.
a hot take or a hot cake?
Boy, that's a good question.
Depends on where you get them from.
Those hot cakes at...
You ever had a hot pecan pie?
No.
And throw like a little vanilla ice cream on top of it?
Gosh,
it's really good.
Unbelievable.
Dan, we've talked about this before. You're pure genius. I mean, you're the talent as you as a play-by-play guy, as a radio guy.
I appreciate
off the
that.
charts, man. But nothing
compares to my ice cream.
Compares to your ice cream making ability. When you're talking about crunching up or smashing up Heath bars, and mixing it into your ice cream.
Yeah.
Like it's like a homemade blizzard.
You can do it at home. Most people think you can't do it at home. You can do it with regularity, and I've proven that. So good.
Your genius. It shows up in your ice cream.
That's about where it ends too. Ice cream.
I'm in awe.
I appreciate it. I mean, I love ice cream. I can't help it.
Who doesn't?
Never eaten a pickle, but I love ice cream. Or a tomato. No tomato.
Yeah. You like ketchup though?
Love ketchup.
Yeah.
So
what
about a grape tomato?
No, that wouldn't do it either.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah. Somebody just said I had that last night. Favorite dessert. I'm telling you,
it's
hot pecan pie. Hot pecan pie with little vanilla ice cream on top.
That's solid, huh?
Mm-hmm. Starting to think of Thanksgiving already, but I can't get out of the moment. I can't let my mind get out of the moment. I need to stay focused. What else did we learn today?
All kinds of stuff.
Daniel Descalso back with the Cardinals.
Yep.
He's going to be on the coaching staff. We got a text from the 314. Does this mean David Freese will be the bench coach for the first 7 innings with Daniel coming in for the 8th and 9th?
Yes.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Bring him back. Get the band back together.
Might as well.
Whoa, of course.
Walker.
Who needs to watch videos on YouTube when you can just bring the team back?
Exactly.
First thing Marshy said to me, what are we getting, the 2011 team back together? Come on, Marshy.
He said it in a disgusting way, as if they didn't win the World Series.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's almost like he doesn't appreciate it.
Let it play out, Marshy, and see what happens this offseason.
Yeah. Come on, Marshy.
I'm excited.
Okay.
I wasn't
I'm excited.
disgusted.
Okay. All right. What else you got?
We got a text from Swan. Great show today, guys. Feel like you really hit home and touch base with my thoughts on Lance Lynn signing. Glad to hear the Riz show still doesn't know ball like the Fast Lane does when it comes to the Pick'em Challenge.
Yeah.
Have a great day, guys.
Swan, thank you for your many compliments. Thank you for listening. And yeah, we crushed that Riz show again.
So if you guys win, the Riz show is sponsored by the Fast Lane
for a full month.
Okay.
Every single time they mention the Rizzuto show, it is brought to you by the Fast Lane for a full month.
Great.
And they have to take a sexy photo shoot, and we have an opportunity to do whatever we want with those photos, including put it potentially on a billboard.
Oh.
That's right.
That would be awesome.
Chiefs Eagles pregame at 6:30 tonight. That'll do it for us. See ya.